struggling. No, I'm not talking to you anymore.
I have
He's
to
gonna be
hold
like,
myself to a higher standard.
I didn't appreciate that, Dad. I mean, Michael.
You just solved my problem. What I really want is for you to listen. I
That's
just
all.
want you to listen to me.
That's all. And be proud.
This is gonna be the ugliest Google form I've ever created, but
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Fix the Mix Day 3.
I didn't even hear what it was for, Michael. I was tuning you out.
oh, here we go. See?
Oh, he's back on his rock. He's back on.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Let us know where you're from in the chat.
Where you
Ow! We're gonna chit chat for a few minutes. Give everybody a chance to kind of come through the doors here. Awesome to see you.
I actually didn't listen. What was that for, Michael?
This will be for the Mott giveaway. Oh, it's time. Oh.
When are we doing that?
It's time.
Oh yeah.
When do you want to do that, Michael?
In 2 minutes. I'm just
When was
cleaning
that?
up this Google form.
You want
When was
to
that?
do it at the beginning here?
When was that?
Yeah.
Netherlands. Oh, Canada. Toronto, eh? Missed day 2. Not eligible. Sorry.
Sorry, Mike. Go back and watch it.
Sorry. Go back.
Day 2
Hit
was
me up when you've done it.
fun. Golden nuggets everywhere, man. That was really great stuff.
Something
Shout out to
about
whoever
saying dropping golden nuggets sounds
You don't
because
like
I put that in the email yesterday. I was typing it just because I've heard it so many times, and as I sent that email out, I was like,
Dropping gold nuggets.
there's definitely. But I couldn't figure out a better.
It sounds
way of
worse when I
phrasing
say it.
Now that you emphasized it,
I think I like it still, but
I like it still too.
please.
I picked up a lot of Devon's gold nuggets.
Just totally ruined it for me.
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
All right. Heretofore known as Magic Sparkle Dust.
what's up, man?
How's everybody
Magic
feeling?
Spark.
Everybody feeling good? Caleb, you feeling good?
Nugs is better. Yeah, I feel good, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Devon, you feeling good today?
I'm feeling good. Shout out to whoever said they're friends with my guy. Shout out to the product. What's going on? I saw you. Shout out to who said audio nerds. I appreciate that. They know what's going on. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Devon,
Dude, Devon, plug some Rosetta in here.
Oh, it's coming. I have that plugin is about to be open right now. The only reason I kind of refrained from using it in this session is because I wanted them to see the EQ. But other than that, I would be using my plugin all day. But I am about to use it today. Like I am about to use that plugin today.
There we go.
We got to chit chat. We got to chit chat about that.
Oh yeah, I got you. I told you stop. I was like, I got you.
I already bought it.
Oh, you don't hit me sidebar. I would have got you.
I just want to support.
I appreciate it. I got some licenses. Just let me know. I'm gonna send it. I know your emails. I'm pretty sure all your emails are what I think it is at this point.
I get your ads all the time, Devon. You're paying to get in front of me. I get the Rosetta
Yes.
ad all the time.
Yeah, I bet. I get that all the time. I had somebody come up to me and actually like spit the commercial to me. Like I was like, oh, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, hey man, it's you. Whoa.
Yo, engineer.
Yeah. Yes, that's what they say. Yo, engineer, can you turn up my vocal? Can you add some air to my vocal? And people
Yeah.
literally come up to me and do that, which is hilarious. I told you guys when I first saw Caleb, I was just like, oh, it's you.
Yeah.
It's so funny. The
I did
people
not
who
expect
recognize
that.
them the most are other people like in the industry who like you're putting your ads on their videos.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I would see you all the time. I would see Caleb there all the time. I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. I like this guy.
Fooled you all. Yeah, I had a lot of people hit me up while we were at NAM recognize it from the
Hmm.
ad.
I'm sure.
Trips you
That's-
out.
it's-
Does it trip you out, Devon, when you are not, you're like on YouTube and your own ad pops up and then suddenly it's your voice talking to you?
Yes.
Like you just went into Inception movie and everything kind of
Yes.
goes
Yes.
weird.
Doesn't it make you feel like, oh, this is what people are seeing, and you watch it, don't you?
I'm terrified. No, I click out of
Yes.
it immediately.
He clicks on immediately.
Click out of it immediately.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my god, bro! I watch it because I'm like, let me see where people. I'm like,
Devon,
this
I
is how
used
they.
to, I used to watch mine too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used
I
to
don't
watch
think I
mine too.
came. I watch mine too. As soon as it come up, I'll be like, oh, it's me. I'm like, oh snap! I'm like, this is how they see it. Like, oh, how intrusive.
Never seen me move so fast, man.
He's like knocking over like his 6 coffee cups, trying to like.
Yeah, I would watch it every time. Yesterday, I was watching like a live performance of some indie band. They're like super small, and I was looking for myself in the crowd, and the video has like 200 views, and I'm like, there, because I don't get to be in front of people like you guys.
That's so funny.
I know what you mean.
I don't get
So
the
you're like, "There I
validation. Yeah, I'm in the background of a 200 view YouTube video.
That's dope. That's a good
One's
screenshot. I feel like you use it for a screenshot.
Yeah,
One's in chat if you loved day 2 yesterday. How was that for everybody? Super
Not the ones.
with commas.
Even a few commas. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, yesterday was fun.
Sick.
It was
That's sick.
super sick.
I got
Yeah, that was awesome.
yeah, I thought it was great. Let's go a couple more minutes chit chatting. We're just letting people are still filing in. Don't want to leave anyone at the gate.
let's
Right
take
on.
a little bit of a risk and say twos in chat if you didn't enjoy day 2.
Oh my god.
We never give the option.
Stop it.
Hey, he's in the program. He's trolling.
Want 4, 3, 1.
What's a 2?
What's a
It's a
2?
2.
Nobody wants to get. Nobody wants.
No
to
one
two.
wants to step up.
That's
huh?
awesome.
No one
At
wants to
least
put
10% of you that
their
are lying right
Yeah.
now.
That's amazing. Love that. That's cool, guys. That's awesome. Actually,
That is nice.
that's cool. Yesterday pushed me back into producing fully. I was in a really bad funk for a while.
Hey, I love hearing that. That's like my
That's
favorite thing
sweet.
to hear.
That's a breakthrough. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because
I'm
you know what
very-
that's done that for me too. Like sometimes if I'm like uninspired, I'll go look for new tricks. I'll go look for new information. Like that helps a lot.
That's
Do you have a lot of
that's a real thing. It's really easy to feel like you're on an island sometimes as a musician, as a producer, as an engineer. I can't tell you how many times I've got on with people, maybe people who've joined our education program or people that I've talked to, who will say something like, "Yeah, I was in a deep funk. I was in a depression. I was having some mental health problems. This community, the program has given me something to focus on. It's pulled me out of that." I mean, that's just my favorite. That's what it's all about for me, I think.
do we have a lot of self-producing artists in this group? A lot. Yes. I was gonna say, Caleb, I'll give the 2-minute version of how I got involved with this company because I think it's very appropriate for self-producing artists. I used to work in finance. I used to I made my own music and I would send it out to get mastered. I sent it to the guy who founded this company, Blake, to master my track. He mastered it for me, sent it back to me. It sounded like crap. Not because he's a bad mastering engineer, because my mix sucked and I didn't
Right.
know it because I didn't understand what mastering was. I was sending it off thinking he's going to fix all these. He's going to make it sound great. He sent it back to me. It sounded terrible. And that was when the light switch went off. I got on a phone call with Blake and Blake was like, you need to learn mastering, not so that you can be a mastering engineer, but that you can mix and produce your stuff well so that when it gets to the mastering engineer, we can actually put the final touches on it. And that's when I went through Mastering Accelerator, which was our old program from years ago. And that was when everything clicked. And then I was like, I need to get, and that's when I left finance and I started working here. So if you're a self-producing
Wow.
artist, even if you never intend on mastering a track, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I work for the company not because, or I work for the company because I support the ideology, not the other way around. I don't support it just because I work here. It's literally the thing that got me to where
Dude, I can tell you too, like I have been in this space for a long time, mixing specifically, and the process of learning mastering, I was already at a decent level. It just completely blew up. My mixes.
Yeah,
It's not like shtick.
I was kind of the opposite. I think I was big ego. I'd already been in the industry for, a long time. I'd already worked with some major people, and I was all big ego thinking, oh, I don't need to do this. My business partner got into it and got into it, I mean, found mentorship, found a program, found learning. My whole experience was just being humbled pretty quickly about how much I didn't know and how
Yeah.
much it was to grow. I think it's easy to like also get in the headspace of like maybe I didn't realize how much I needed to grow, but also there was some like ego there for sure.
For me, it shined a light on being a human being and complicating like how we all just tend to want to overcomplicate things. Honestly.
One time, by the way, Michael disclosed to me how much money he walked away from on Wall Street.
It'll make you drop some golden nuggets.
Well done.
But
Well,
it is worth it.
well done.
Every day of my life, I wake up and I go, I get to work with great people. Aside from Caleb, I get to work with great students. Aside from Nick, I get to work with great. I just joking. I'm joking.
Wow, I love that.
Nick.
Nick the Mark.
Yeah.
Oh man, you get me. You
No,
really
It
it
is
was
fun.
the best decision. that I
Nick
ever
Nick
made.
just dropped like the most thoughtful like review of his time in the program. You've been with us what 5 months now, and then you troll him instantly. I love that.
Yeah, I know he's like our biggest supporter. That's why I love them. I love you guys.
What do you think, guys?
Should we jump in?
What do you think, guys? Give us a 292,641 if you're ready to jump in here today.
The
Excited?
specifics.
There it is.
Convinced at least 60% of the people that watch these were at one point accountants or receptionists because the speed at which numbers come into the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked at that. I was like, "Whoa, you guys actually like wrote it immediately."
Back when I was a trader, the number pad on the right,
Yeah.
I used to
Yes.
fly on that thing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was Guitar Center for me.
I don't
The-
mess with
Oh,
it.
good.
In those insurance plans.
All right.
And those insurance plans.
Yeah, they catch you every time.
Those numbers, I'll get you.
Do you want me to unveil my Google form, Caleb,
Oh,
for the
yeah, let's do that. Should we start off with that? All right.
Housekeeping
I'll let
item?
you do it, Michael.
The time has come. I've promised and I've teased, but the time has come for the giveaway that you have all waited for. So Mott, who has sponsored this Fix the Mix, who we're all big fans of, are going to be giving away prizes to some random folks. We're going to do it kind of raffle style. I've created an incredible Google form that you're going to fill out in just a moment if you want to enter for that giveaway. Caleb, I don't know if you have the prize up in front of you. Grand prize is 1 year subscription to their EQ package, right?
Yep.
Here it is here. Grand
believe-
prize, the EQ
You get
IP.
the red and the orange, maybe.
Yep, they get the red and EQ red and EQ orange for a year.
Really cool EQs, by the way.
First prize is 2BC multi-core. You guys know this stuff better than me. This is like Greek to me. And then second and third prize is Lin Pro.
Dithering plugin. Yep.
So I am about to drop a Google form. I have not tested it, but I believe it works. In the chat, if you want to enter for that giveaway, fill out this Google form here. There she is. Fill that out, and I'm going to pick someone randomly.
Need to change your chat settings to everyone, Michael.
I sent it to the panelists. There she is.
Can I enter?
and
Panel
fill that
rigged.
out. I'm gonna I'm gonna pick someone randomly, and then I'm gonna drop the results in school later. I'm gonna tag whoever wins. Oh, it
You gotta
says
change
Juniper.
permission on
Okay,
that.
all right,
Gotta change
okay.
permission on that
Oh,
form, Michael.
jeepers. Everybody,
All right. You're it.
Jeepers. Give me just a sec here.
Permit me to enter.
You guys are good sports.
Wow.
Someone said super rigged.
Dude, my head would be on a pike if it were up to these people.
Michael, you remember the time we had that wheel? We gave a prize away. We had that virtual.
Oh yeah,
You should have done that again.
I should have.
Done
Well, I
that.
would have to have the
Do-
names up
do the
front.
drawing at the end or something.
Why can't I change the set? All right,
That
bear
wheel
with.
was fun.
I'll be dropping the form in a second. And you guys can take over in the meantime.
Okay.
Now you ruined it. Now you guys ruined the big unveil.
We're bailing on the giveaway.
Give me 2 seconds.
All right. Why don't you post it in school? People can go in there and fill it out.
Yeah, I will do both.
Gold nugget
I'm
form.
pretty
Y'all
probably
are
should have
funny.
stayed on Wall Street at this point. Anyway, let's move on. Welcome to day 3. You've made it this far. Very glad to have you back. If you missed day 2 or day 1, go back and watch them. A lot of good insight into how to view your mix in day 1. Devon dropped tons and tons of gold nuggies for everybody yesterday. That come off better?
No.
That was
Yeah, it did.
No.
not really
I
great.
liked that
information.
lice.
It was good.
It
It was good.
worse.
I was with you. I was with
Alright.
you.
Worse. All right. I embrace the weird. Let's be honest with that. But that was really awesome. In day 3, we're going to get into some really cool stuff as well. I've actually been really looking forward to this. Devon and I did a podcast a little while back, and I know how deep into some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. His mind has been exploring this recently. It's always fun to talk to someone who's a pro when they're talking about the thing that their mind is most captivated about right now. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about today. So that's going to be really fun. Excited to dig into this. How many of you did the action items from yesterday? Were you able to go back? One's in chat. If you were able to go and do some of this stuff, explore what Devon taught us yesterday. Be honest. There's no dog ate your homework here.
Sure.
It's for your own good, right? It's for your own exploration. This is how you grow. This is how you learn. This is how you find what processes work for your style, right? What fits into the way your brain works.
I see somebody said they did the white noise trick too. It's interesting. And they did the kick snare vocal. Yep. Love Bob Powers.
Speaking of Mott, though, if you want to talk about the white noise trick, they have a plugin called FiDef. That's very cool, and you should look into that if you want to add some magic sparkle dust to your mixes or masters. It's a very cool plugin, right, Jake?
It's go. You see my
blew your
face.
mind, right?
It really blew my mind. It's
Impressed by stuff like this either. I remember when you first heard about it, you were like, eh.
I was like, nah, this is stupid.
It
And
doesn't-
I used it on a master, dude, and it blew everything out. It was such an odd experience that I've never really experienced before as an engineer. And that's saying a lot. Like, I've done a lot of tracks and I've messed with a lot of like different effects and stuff like that. But this just like brought this depth to things and like it just makes you feel weird. You just got to try it. You just got to check it out, do some research on it, look up FiDef on the Matt website. You gotta check it out.
Mott.
They're a partner of ours, but we don't get anything out of you guys going and getting this stuff. We just partner with the brands that we really like, that we think are making great stuff, and a lot of it's so that we can get like great deals for our students and opportunities for like webinars like this to happen and stuff like that. So, you know, if we talk about anything, there's no motivation behind it other than we just probably really like it.
Yeah, keep an eye on the chat because I've been popping the Google form back in there. It's working now. We got a bunch of entries already. So
hopefully you went through this process, you removed all the plugins, you started back at nominal, and then you did the Devon way, the kick snare vocals first, built the instrumentals around it. and maybe tried applying bass last. We didn't really get to talk about too much about why Devon does bass last. It's actually a pretty cool concept. And if you think about it, and you know much about kind of like sonic energy, you know that bass takes up a lot of sonic energy, right? And so his reasoning behind it is like, let's make sure everything is sitting properly, taking up the energy it should. And then I can kind of compare that to my reference and then pull the bass in to match the reference in like that last step. So instead of doing that first and then fighting that bass the whole time and like kind of whittling space out and keep turning the bass down more and more to make everything, it's like make everything fit, make all those core components fit, and then listening to your reference, pull that bass up to kind of match that, and everything should be sitting really good.
Yeah, that's really smart.
And maybe you'll probably do some of that today. I don't know if you.
Yeah, that today I'm gonna be going into the bass today.
Very cool concept. So watch for that. That was kind of something we're going to talk about on day 2. It's kind of flipped into day 3 at this point. A couple other things that we're going to talk about today. Today's going to be a saturation masterclass. A masterclass on how to analog your digital mix. For those of you who don't know what saturation is, it's harmonic distortion. So when we're talking about saturation, we're talking about distortion. We're talking about warmth. We're talking about creating energy that isn't there. Right? There's one thing to turn or boost a frequency on an EQ, right? You're taking information that's there and you're adding information to that, right? You're turning that information up. Saturation is a whole different thing. It actually creates frequencies that aren't currently present in the mix. So why is that good? Well, it can help thicken things, but saturation does more than that. And there are other plugins. It's not just saturation. There are some other ways of doing this too. Programmers have gotten really good at finding ways to give the life back to music that once existed in the analog realm, right? We love that analog sound that came out of the studios of the past. Why do we like that? Human ears, for some reason, get bored with stuff that's too sterile, that's too clean, that's too plain. Our ears love a little bit of chaos. Our ears love a little bit of dissonance. Our ears love a little bit of conflict, or our ears just kind of get bored. Saturation adds that back in. And again, plugins are getting so good now that a lot of times they're out analoging analog. We're able to add that kind of chaos back to the mixes and masters that we used to be able to get only with analog gear. It was the sound of electricity running randomly and chaotically through circuits and transformers. It gave chaos, literal like chaos to the sound, and the algorithms are starting to be able to do that too. And so it's very important, especially if you're working with digital music in the box, that you're using saturation and you understand how to give that chaotic sound to your mixes and masters so the listener has a more immersive, visceral experience with it. It's very important. We're going to get a master class on that today.
I like the term imperfections.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're creating imperfection. It's like entropy. We want that a little bit in the music. We're going to learn how to do that on kind of a track to track level, and I believe Devon's also going to show us how to do that on a mix bus level. Now, we've taught in the past not to do much on the mix bus. If anything, that if you have kind of an understanding of how to master and how to approach mastering, that you can do all that in mastering. And those are typically like tools that mastering engineers are expert at. So leave it up to them. That being said, it doesn't mean that you can't ever do stuff on your mix bus. You just need to really know what you're doing, because I've just seen way too many people do way too much on a mix bus, totally kill their mix, totally cover up problems they're having. Devon, I know, does it the right way. So he's going to teach us, we call it a dash of seasoning, right? It's not changing very much. It's just, again, we're creating a little bit of dissonance, chaos. We're creating a little bit of imperfection, and we can do that on the mix bus to kind of give everything sort of that vibe we're looking for, that life that came from the analog realm. Yeah. Cool. It is time for, I didn't want to talk too long today on that stuff. It's better for Devon to kind of go in and explore and show and, break down his process for us. He's getting his stuff set up. I wanted to take a quick minute while we're all here to talk to you a little bit about why we do this challenge and what we do at mastering.com. Some people ask about this. Some people are very familiar with what we do. Other people have no idea. Why do we do this challenge? Well, first off, we believe in bringing a lot of value to the music community. We think there are too many people that are keeping secrets. They're kind of predatory about things. There's not enough, you know, especially in some parts of the country, you go there and everything's about 0.5% of this, and everything's really isolated, and it's causing us to feel sometimes like we're on islands. We're all about community. All of us who have worked at mastering.com have been through and seen both the good side and the bad side of this industry. And in many ways, we just want to pay it forward. We want to bring a place to the internet, to all of our individual islands where we can come together, have community, and just try to get better at this stuff. We're bringing people in like Devon. We're working with people like Jake. We're bringing other people in that we'll talk about in the next few months to give you a lot of different options, perspective, and hopefully all of it at the end of the day is just about we get better. And we hope that you pay that forward. I've appreciated seeing you all helping each other in the school community, answering each other's questions, giving feedback. I love that stuff. That's what it's all about. That's what we need more of as we kind of divide up in this music industry and everyone's doing their own thing. We need more community. We need more ways of connecting to each other. So that's one of the big reasons we do it. The other reason is we want to find people who are a great fit for our flagship program, the Reverse Engineer. And again, notice the wording here, a great fit, right? So we do have an education platform. It's called the Reverse Engineer. It's a very special program. It's something that we have worked for many, many years to build. We believe it is the foremost education program in the world right now for engineers and producers. We say that with a lot of confidence, with a lot of, you know, we don't want to be arrogant about it, but we're just very confident. We've worked really, really hard to do things the right way and to build something that fills a space that was really needed. But we don't want people who aren't a good fit for it. And the only way to know that is for you to come on an experience like this, a webinar, and see how we do things, see who we are as people, see how we interact. And the people who are a good fit for us come to these things and go, these are my people, right? These are the kind of people that I want to be around. These people are doing things the right way. It's not gimmicks. It's not tips and tricks. It's not, you know, more just kind of noise. We're going to cut through the noise and just give you real talk, real clarity on things. So the only way to do that is just to get to know each other. That's why we're here. So why then, what is the problem that we're trying to solve? I think it's important to understand that. I think a lot of people don't know. So why do we need an education platform for this? Well, what I hear from a lot of people is that they're feeling really stuck. I hear a lot from people, I don't know how to progress. And it's not just from, you know, intermediates, it's from beginners. I'm not sure how to approach the industry. I don't know how to get started. I don't know where the good information is. A lot of people get stuck at what we call kind of an intermediate plateau where they get pretty far, but then at some point they stop being able to progress. There's something holding them back from that standard that they can hear that's in professional music, but they can't quite do it themselves. And even professionals sometimes hit these plateaus as well, where they're getting behind in the industry. The industry moves really fast, and maybe they're getting behind and their stuff's getting old and they want to freshen their mind. So we have these people who are getting to these points where they're frustrated, they're not able to progress, they're not able to really get the sound they're going for to come out of the speakers the way they hear it in their head. And this always comes back to a universal problem. It's not 99% of the time, it's the same thing. It means your creativity is above your technical skill. You can hear things that you can't yet technically create. It's a simple kind of problem when you break it down like that. It's always going to come back to that. If you were able to technically create what you had in your head, it wouldn't be a problem. The only problem is when we get stuck and we don't quite know how to, whether we are a beginner, an intermediate, or advanced. So why does that happen? Well, it's important to break that down too. If you want to know where this is coming from, let me give you just a few minutes about what's happened in the industry in the last 30 years, and I think it'll make a whole lot of sense. It's really twofold. First off, it's the death of the traditional way. So 30, 40 years ago, no one was doing at-home recording pretty much. Like very, very few people were doing that. If you were a musician, you created your music, and then you went to one of the big studios and you worked with a producer, you worked with engineers who knew all the technical stuff, and they helped you create the music. Then what we had is technology come along, the invention of the computer, the at-home DAW. It became much easier as time went on to get access to this stuff, and computer power became such that it was started to surpass the power of consoles. And so we democratized, we decentralized this information that was kept traditionally with these old studios. And we stopped going to them. They started to die off. And at the other side of things, technology started to get better and better all the time. And so we're at this point where the secrets and the information that was understood in those studios, which you usually had to go to, and you usually had to, be an intern at, for the lucky few that got to do that. They got some of the hierophantic knowledge that was passed down through, the generations, and they were the ones that knew this stuff. Well, as those kind of started to die off, the information started to die with them. Plus, they were doing things a totally different way than the modern producer is doing it. And what we were replaced it with were, better and better technology, which is great. Better technology is awesome. But it's a double-edged sword. And I think this is one of the big reasons people get stuck, is because we lean on the technology, but we lack the deep understanding that was once known by these people that really knew how to do this and really had a relationship to sound, that worked at these major studios. We're lacking that relationship to sound and audio and music. So we lean on the preset. We lean on the tip and trick. We lean on the plugin. I talk to so many people who say, "Oh, my music's not great. I must be using the wrong DAW, or I must be using the wrong plugin. If I just used the right plugins, my stuff would be great." No, what we really need is to fill the gap. So what we decided and what we learned from our students over the last 10 years is what was lacking. There's this foundational knowledge that was lost in the industry for people. And even places like Full Sail or Berkeley that you could go to, a lot of their stuff was antiquated. It doesn't apply to the modern producer. It applies to someone working in a big studio, which is not what people are doing anymore. So someone needed to come along and write the textbook for the modern musician. And that's what we've done here. We've taken the wisdom of the past and applied it to the powerful technology of the present, and found a way to do it in a way that is scalable, and we can move with the speed of technology, with the growth of the industry. If you're feeling stuck right in any of these places, what I'm saying to you is there are, and I was talking about this before, when I had this ego, all this stuff that I didn't realize that I needed to learn if I really wanted to elevate my stuff. When I came in and started doing this, when I started working with a mentor, what I had to do is tear down this house I had built of what I thought I knew, and really dive into the stuff that changes your relationship to your understanding of sound and music, and build upon a stronger foundation. We built our entire program around that. We worked with students, thousands of students over the last 10 years. And what we heard from them is, we're missing the foundation. And when I'm learning the foundation, it's changing everything. It's not just changing my relationship to, mixing or mastering or production. It's changing my relationship to all of it together. We came up with the idea of the reverse engineer, where we teach all of it in reverse. It's a master class in objectivity. It's all about developing instincts. We learned from our students that we were teaching mastering. I think I mentioned this on day one. They would start coming and learning mastering from us. They would learn these deep skills. They would get their rooms more dialed in. They're doing this ear training. They're increasing their understanding of the tools. And they'd say to us, "I'm learning mastering, and that's wonderful. It's really, really great. I'm excited for that skill, but something unexpected is happening. My productions are even getting better. My mixing's getting better." In those moments of creativity, I have the instincts now to take exactly what I'm hearing in my head and have it come out of the speakers correctly. My creativity has been unlocked. So instead of teaching what has been traditionally done, which is like, learn to play the guitar, learn to sing. Maybe we'll pull up a DAW, we'll learn to produce a beat, we'll do all this stuff. We start at the other end of things. We start with the development of instincts of how you relate to music and sound on a left-brained level, the objective level, the technical skill level. The thing that most people are missing is what we start with. We start by teaching you mastering, which is the thing that teaches you this the most. Then as we go through, we start connecting that objectivity, that left-brained part of you, to the subjectivity, to the creative part of you, to unlock that part, like I was just talking about. So as you start progressing through the program, you have this foundational skill, you're starting to develop these instincts, you're not having to turn knobs and think about things so much, it's becoming natural to you, your ears are dialed in, your room's dialed in, you know exactly what you're doing. Now we're going to connect that to how to unlock your creativity. And then we don't just leave you with that. We understand the last thing that people are really missing in this industry, especially for those of you who want to do this as a career. Some of you don't want to do it as a career, and that's totally fine. You should still come learn the foundational stuff that will help you move forward. But a lot of people don't know how to connect with the industry. A lot of artists are not very good at the business side of things. It's not necessarily something we're always great at. So we've also built into this program a way to help you develop those instincts as well, the business side of things, but also connect you with people in the industry that can help you advance your career, to help you make the connections that are so hard to find. Do you ever feel like, who do I reach out to? How do I actually make my way into the industry, right? We've found ways, and we bring people in who can do that part, who can connect with you directly, and that you can connect with them directly, to have the kind of career you want to have, whether it's as an artist, whether it's as a mix engineer, whether it's a mastering engineer. You want to leverage this incredible skill set that you've now begun to build. Again, we're starting with the objective. We teach in reverse, mastering, mixing, production towards the subjective. What does this mean on a kind of practical level? What does our program look like? It's a one-year program. So this is not some sort of tiny little, course you go to for a couple weeks and you don't get any help after. It's a full 1 year plus mentorship program, which consists of weekly one-on-one mentorship. In fact, up to starting next week, 5 times a week, where you can hop on and have direct interaction with mentors. So we're trying to recreate, once again, the environment, what it would have been like to be in the studio, looking over the shoulders of the masters as much as we can without actually having a studio. But we don't want to teach you to work in a studio like that. We want you to work in your own place. We want to help you build your own studio and be able to work in your own space. So you look over the shoulders and have that mentorship while also just building something that you can work in yourself, something that you can start to monetize within your own space. That mentorship is huge. If you don't understand the value of mentorship, this is something that everyone needs to know. And everyone that on this team has found mentorship in their life that's been huge for them. You just have to walk with people who can push you. There's a year of that, up to 5 times a week. You can hop on, have that direct one-on-one mentorship. And I'm not talking about like, submit a question in writing and send a carrier pigeon and someday we'll get to it and maybe, send it back to you. It's my screen, my face, your questions, your DAWs open. We're looking at stuff. We're pushing the envelope. We're working on mindset. We're getting really deep. We're working towards your goals. You combine that with a training platform, very comprehensive, 29 weeks, hundreds of videos, hundreds of lessons to walk you through a process of getting your room dialed in, training your ears, understanding the tools, connecting your objectivity to your subjectivity, all the way through mastering, mixing, and production. And by the time we get to production, it's amazing. And I think all our students are quite amazed what we're able to talk about, because we don't have to talk about the technical stuff. We can talk about emotion. We can talk about how to create experiences for people through production. It's really, really cool. And then last but not least, by any means, is the community that we have. So if you think the community we have in school for Fix the Mix is great, which it is, the community we have in the Reverse Engineer is very, very special to me. These are hundreds of people who are absolutely pushing as hard as they can You should see the way that they help each other. You should see the way, I mean, there are literal like lifetime friendships being formed, companies being built, collaborations happening all the time. We celebrate each other's wins. If you feel like you're on an island, there is no better place, I'm convinced, that exists than this community that we built of people who are really going for this and trying to do it. And you'll learn more in that community than maybe the mentorship and platform and the training platform. That's how powerful it is. So we're giving you everything you need from all the facets of how we learn, how we grow, to give you everything you could possibly need to reach your goals. And the goals that you have are very serious to us, both on a technical level, a skill set level, but also what your goals are for your personal music or your business. It's not magic, but it's pretty magical. I won't flower it up too much, because we're leaning into the way we know it needs to be done. The people who used to do this in the big studios, they didn't just wake up one day with the skill set to be able to do that. They worked hard to gain those skill sets. You will have to work hard too. This won't happen overnight. That's why our program's a year. Even after the year, there's plenty of growth still to go. There's ways we can facilitate that too, but this takes time and it takes effort. And if anyone's telling you that there's a shortcut to this, there's just not. You will continue to hit the plateaus. You'll continue to feel frustrated by what's going on with your music, and you'll continue to see this vision of what you want to do and unable to get it until you really get that technical skill and that foundation to the level where it surpasses your creativity, that unlocks your creativity. So, what does this look like? For those of you who are resonating with what I'm talking about, you're listening to me, you're going, I like these guys. I think this might be a really good fit for me. There's a process we want you to go through. The first thing we want you to go through is a conversation with us. We don't just have a link where you can sign up for this. We don't want to just let anyone into the program. It's not that we're trying to be exclusive, but we don't want to just like take people's money and not give them something that's actually going to help them. We take that very seriously. Our reputation is everything to us. We have a very clean reputation in what we do. And that's because we care about you and we want you to succeed. So we need to have a conversation with you, okay? We want to be really upfront about what this costs, what it looks like to sign up, and who might be a good fit for it. The reverse engineer, unlike a lot of the programs out there that are $50,000 or $100,000, we're not doing anything like that. We're able to scale it in a way that's a lot more affordable. So we're looking at $5,800. This is something that we can also do some loan financing on internally. So if that's something you need to work on, this is for the full year, the full mentorship program. And I think we have it now, Michael, where you get access to the curriculum and the community ongoing. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, you get lifetime access to the curriculum and the community. The only thing that's time sensitive is you get 1 year access to the mentorship, and then we'll have options to re-up after.
We also have electives and other things where you can specialize more.
Yeah.
And again, start making those connections to actual industry people. So there's more progression and growth after this. So you want to have a little bit of extra monthly that you can invest in yourself. For those of you who are listening to me and you're saying maybe it's time to do something like this, maybe it's time for me to actually take this seriously. I believe in myself. I believe that I have something. I do feel limited by confusion about how to progress in this industry. We can absolutely help you with that. So if you're hearing that voice, then you need to book a call with us and have that conversation. And I was talking to Michael right before this. We have in the past done a discount for people who are on Fix the Mix. We usually knock $1,000 off. We're going to do that again this month. So we'll actually honor this price down to $4,800, which is crazy, for the full year. Again, it can be payment plans and different things like that. But this is the very last month that we're doing that offer. We're actually raising the price, and this isn't just like a,
scarcity tactic or anything. Yeah.
It's not. We actually are raising our price starting next month. So this is the last time that we're doing that $4,800 offer. We have to just go a little bit higher. We're going to keep the prices within respectable range, but we also want to bring in the best talent. We also want to bring in the very best teachers in the world and the very best connections for everybody. And that just requires a little bit of resources. And so we're pouring that back into you, and we'll have to raise the prices after this month. So again, if you feel inspired to take a risk on yourself, to invest in yourself, both in terms of your time, a little bit of your money, book that call, have that conversation with us. These are like career counselors that you're going to be talking to. They're going to break down what you're doing, what your goals are. If it's not a good fit, they'll say, hey, maybe there's a better road for you here. Go explore that. If you're not ready, they'll give you some action items to get ready. But if you are ready, they're the people that can actually help you get signed up and get going and join our community, join this revolution of thought in this space. And there's no one else doing it like we're doing it. There's no one else gathering the people that we're gathering. I feel very confident that this is something that can help you reach your goals. If they say it's good to go and you're ready to do this, and this is going to be a life-changing experience for you. So I'll turn it over to Michael. He usually wants to say a few things.
Yes. So, a couple additional things. So, again, just to reiterate, the price will be, we're going to do the discount for Fix and Mix students. So it's going to be 4,800. This isn't this isn't a tactic. We're actually going to raise the price after this year. You can blame me for that, or sorry, after this month. Bringing in talent, getting guys like Devon, continuing to push back and reinvest into the program. So our price point is going up. It's going to be 5,800 or 6,800 moving forward. But so this will be the last time to get in at 4,800. So if you can get some money together, this is the time to do it. You don't have to have the full amount up front. Book a call. Our sales guys, they'll talk to you. They'll consult with you. They'll dig into finances. They'll see what the situation is, and if they can make it work, great. If not, though, it's not like pushy sales call. These guys are focused on actually bringing in people that we think we can actually help. So if you're not the right fit for it, they are going to tell you, because it doesn't help us to bring in people that are a bad fit, because then they just have a bad experience. So we bring in people that we know we can help. So book a call if you've got questions. If you're not sure if you can swing it financially, jump on a call and we can at least go over some options. Obviously, you got to have a little bit of money set aside just in order to get started. But book a call. Any questions that you have, they'll be able to address on that call. And again, if it's not the right fit, then at the very least, we'll steer you in the right direction, which is better. So again, it's the last chance to get in at that $4,800 price before that goes up. So now is the time. So I'm going to keep dropping the link in the chat. Go ahead and click the link.
Yeah, we're going to give you 5 minutes to do that before we begin. So now's the time to book those. Devon knows all about this too. I mean, he's one of those that went to a bigger program, very expensive
for sure.
program at Full Sail.
A very expensive program, and I got a lot of friends that, unfortunately, and this I want to be clear, this wasn't planned as far as me even talking about this. We're genuinely just having a conversation. I have a lot of friends that I went to school with, and they're not even doing what they went to school for, and they paid a lot of money for this, man. I mean, I feel really bad about it, as far as, I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones that cut through, but for every one that you see that cuts through, there may be, hundreds of thousands of kids that just nothing ever just goes anywhere. And it's not like you have any resource to go back to after spending that money at those types of institutions, for the most part, to go, hey, well, I want to relearn this, or I want to, what else are you guys doing, or can I talk to someone? Like, that was not the case. Like, I graduated and I was sent on my way, and I had to find my way, and that was a really, really tough time. So, just seeing what they've created here, or, and I'm a part of now at mastering.com, and just seeing the sense of community, and just seeing the forums and people talking in the threads and the boards, it means a lot. And I can see that, even when you finish or move on from your journey, you have that sense of, let me check in over here. I got some questions. That's invaluable. That's something I didn't get, and I paid way more than this for my education. So I think it's really powerful. I think it's really dope. I think it's innovative. I think it is a new wave that I think a lot of people are going to be late to the party with. And yeah, I think it's great. I just really enjoy being a part of a more formal setting because obviously, I have YouTube and stuff that I do, but it is nice to be a part of a more formal setting with people that I know are super serious and really looking to literally and genuinely learn. So I'm glad to be here. It's a great idea. Like he said, set up your call, see if it's worth it to you. I mean, I've physically gone through a few things with them in the program, and yeah, it's not a sales pitch in that sense, but more or less, let's see if it's the right fit for you. But I enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying it, and yes, I will be here once a week talking to you guys and girls, and just helping you get through it. So I just can't wait to get that started, which will be next week, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb. Right? I'll be starting.
Starting weekly mentorship calls with Devon starting next week. Very excited to have you do that, to add to working with Dane, working with myself, working with Jake, now with working with Devon as well. We're also bringing other people in. You're going to see some crazy announcements in the next couple months. We're in this there's no one in this space that's doing anything like this. And we understand our position, and we understand the responsibility that we have to all of you to do this the right way and to bring in the very best people for you. And we're very committed to that. We're pouring everything we can back into doing this the right way to give people an actual education that will be meaningful for them, to actually help them reach their goals instead of just snake oil or anything like that. So you can see we're really passionate about it. We want to work with you if it's the right fit. If not, maybe down the line, that's totally fine too. You got to book that call. So we'll give you about 5 minutes to go ahead and book those calls really quick.
I'll stick on here. If you guys have any questions about the program, drop them in the chat. I'll spend the next couple minutes while they take their 2-minute break, and then we'll dive into the good stuff. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I will say this, I will tease this. We do have one big announcement that's coming very soon. I wish I could tell you now, but I can't. But you're going to want to be in here for when that announcement happens. So how's that? For saying nothing at
Nice
all.
tease, man.
Thanks. Our students will know. So if you want to know, book a call. So I'll keep posting that link in there again. Any other questions, make sure you book a call. Yeah, I'll talk it over for you. And if you have any questions in the meantime, drop them in the chat. And when break's over, I promise I will leave. What area of the country do you hail from? Not the question I was expecting, but I live in Nashville. Only question I have, New York City apartment current. Because the sound I can mix with monitors stream my room isn't feasible. How detrimental is my situation? So
I'm reading that too. I was reading that
Yeah.
too, Mike, because I'm in New York too.
when I went through this program years and years ago, when I went through Mastering Accelerator, exactly, I did SonarWorks for my headphones. It's not perfect. It's obviously not as perfect as having a well-treated studio, but it is head and shoulders above what you can do if you don't have treated headphones. So
Yeah.
if you do come in, you can make loads of progress just using SonarWorks on your headphones. And then over time, you can have a sick studio like Devon does.
Facts. My suggestion to that person is, I would say open back headphones. The reason why I'm going to suggest, this is really nerdy, I'm going to suggest open back headphones because open back headphones are going to do a few things for you in your situation where you can't, have a room. Open back headphones give you a better image and sound stage when it comes to headphones. The closed backs, great, nothing wrong with them. But when it comes to an image and things of that nature, I'm going to highly recommend you go towards open back headphones. They're awesome. And then the second thing, I forgot what the second thing I was going to tell them. It was open
Little
back
bit.
headphones.
A little bit open back or a little bit tighter on the low end there too, right? Like there isn't as much low end build up.
Right. Right. So that part too. So for my headphone people, and this is Jake or Caleb, I tell my friends this all the time. I can tell when someone's mixing the headphones, and the way I can tell is the low end. So what I always suggest to my friends that mix in headphones, open back headphones, but I always also say, hey, you need to be referencing crazy your low end, whether that's your laptop speakers or some type of like little boombox, something that represents or can let you hear low end. You need a lot of reference like points if you're using headphones. That's my biggest suggestion. If you are using or mixing in headphones, that's your only choice. You need to get some more referencing, and I'm talking about a little Beats Pill or my crappy laptop speakers. Like, I don't know if you guys can see this laptop right here. This is probably my favorite reference monitors right here. Like, if something sounds good on this, I've nailed it, like hands down. And this has like a really weird limiter on it, and if it's too bright, it'll duck. Like, it's weird. These speakers are weird, and they're so bad. They're horrible. Reference point. So, open back headphones, more reference points, cheap reference points, laptop speakers, Beats Pill, and then your low end is always your problem in those headphones, where I feel like people can't really reproduce that well. So that's where your reference point comes in. Yeah.
Something to add to that, like breaks. If you're not mixing in open air and you've got that sound pumping into your ears from this distance, you're gonna need it, like all the time. You're gonna need to take lots of breaks, more than if you're mixing on monitors, right? Like, and I'm talking like more often than you think you should, to avoid that ear fatigue. Little compressors in our ears, right? And they activate very, very quickly when you've got the sound spitting out at them from such a short distance like that, right? So I'd say, like, I would even recommend every 30 minutes or so, take those cans off, go somewhere else, go walk around, go outside, like really rest those.
Let me say, go.
Also, I mean, and take it really seriously too, though. I think not enough people take their room or their listening environment or the headphones they use as seriously as they should. They're all inaccurate. And if they're inaccurate, it just makes it really hard to do things properly in your mix or master. You have to do just a whole bunch of algebra over time to like calculate what's happening when you listen to a whole bunch of different speakers and different things. You have to be able to trust your environment to ever work at the speed and efficiency that you need to work at to do this at a pro level. That's why, right? I mean, it's week 3 in our program that we help people get their rooms set up, their monitors set up, whether it's headphones or something else, to get as close to an accurate listening response as you possibly can have. I mean, it's that important. You basically can't even progress through the program at all until you have that, because what's the point of doing air training? What's the point of learning these tools if you're not even hearing them accurately?
Let me just say one more thing real quick. Thank you guys for listening to the pitch on the program here. Obviously, we got to keep the lights on somehow so we can continue to do these challenges for free. So thank you for being such good sports while we talk about this. If you are on the fence, I'm going to keep posting the link to book a call. Seriously, jump on a call, discuss it, see if it's the right fit, see if we can work something out financially. This will be the last time to get in at 4,800. So I'll keep spamming that link in there. And then the last thing I want to say too is if you 100% know for a fact that you can't do it and you enjoyed the Fix the Mix webinar, all we ask, go tell a friend, go leave a review somewhere on a Reddit thread or on a YouTube comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, whatever you can to help us just get the word out there is just amazingly appreciated. You would be surprised at how far that goes. We're really just trying to get the word out there that we are the real deal, that we care about our students, that we're the future of education. And so anything that you can do to help is amazing. But again, if you're on the fence, I'm going to keep posting the link here in the chat. If you have any more questions, you can hit me up in school. But best way to answer a question is to just book a call and jump on a call with one of our team members. But with that, I will regretfully leave you for the day. I'll just keep spamming the link here in the chat. And I'll let you guys get to the good stuff.
Thanks for letting me speak to y'all. We will get going here, though.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Get back to the fun stuff. Devon, how you doing? Are you about ready?
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm ready to go. So I'm going to kick things off. Okay, so long story short, what we're going to do today is we got a volume level mix. I showed you my kick, snare, vocal technique. I put my safety nets in place. Now it's time to kind of deeply get into the mix. where I'm carving room, making space, seeing what's clashing with each other, and basically trying to clean up the house. So I built this wonderful house that I feel like has good bones, but now I need to do some interior decorating. I need to put the plumbing in. I need to basically get the interior of the house set and ready to go to my mastering engineer. So that's what we're gonna do today. So being that for time's sake, I'm just gonna let you know this mix at the very end is not gonna be absolutely perfect. Why? Because I should be referencing, I should be going to my car, listening and taking my time with it. But for the sake of this video, I just want to make sure I say that at the very front and preface it with that, where I'm saying, hey, when we're going through this mix right now, not saying I'm rushing, but I'm going through it. Nonetheless, I'm showing you everything what I would do anyway, but I just want to make that very clear. If there's problems and things of that nature, all good. I hear them and I would go back to them, and this is where that process would come in. Cool? Drop a 2 in the chat if you understand where I'm coming from and you're cool with that. I'm just going to show you what I do, and we're going to go from there, and that's it. Okay. Now that we got that out the way. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, cool. And can you guys tell me if you see my screen?
You good?
Jake, you see my screen? Okay,
Yep.
say less. All right, cool. All right, so right quick, let's just refresh our ears right quick. Let's just hear a little bit of the song so far to see where we landed and where we left off from yesterday. So let's start this from the very beginning, and let's play this right quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
Cool, so that's where we left off yesterday. I feel like I have just a clean mix. There's no effects. We really haven't created a space for the vocal or given it its what I like to call its drama, or just put it in an environment that makes it believable. And that's what I use time-based effects, aka reverbs, delays, and things of that nature to do, to make certain sound sources believable and give it emotion. So right now, I kind of get into like this chaotic spree, right? Where now that I've created a foundation of everything, I go into like a kind of chaotic point in my mixing where I start just listening to things and saying, oh, let me go get that. Let me grab that. Literally, I just go with what I feel and what I hear. So from this point on, there's really no method to my madness as far as how or when I want to do things. But more or less, now that I've gotten to this place in the mix, it's more about, okay, whatever I feel, I'm just going to attack. And I'm going to do one thing at a time, hearing that, fixing that, fixing that, fixing that, and then constantly backing up and going, oh, okay, I've made progress. So that's all I'm going to be doing. Just a heads up. So right now, the first thing I did notice was I noticed my snare is kind of bothering me and getting in the way and distracting me when it comes to my vocal. I'm going to do a few things with this. So let me take a listen to my snare and vocal. And remember what I always tell you, I like to listen to things in context with the relationship that it has. So I'm listening to vocal snare right now, relationship wise. So this and this.
You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along, are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me?
So what I did was I rolled off some of the high end on the snare, and the reason why is because I really like where the vocal is sitting in that particular range as far as the high end, but I just wanted to make the snare get out of the way. I feel like it was taking up too much of that spectrum with the vocal when it came in. So with me rolling off some of the top end, it gave you a difference as far as a focus point from the snare, where it's like, okay, snare, get out of that range. I really want the vocal to be there. You just live down here. And I noticed that the vocal feels like it popped out a little bit more when I did that, kind of like that. One thing I want you to understand or know, a little note for you. When it comes to EQ, when you go from doing, say, for instance, a high cut, right? And you go from the top of it, meaning high end, 20,000 hertz, rolling it down all the way to the dark where it starts to feel really dark and you're losing all that brightness, you got to realize to your ears, that kind of can feel like depth. That can make things feel further back or more up front. When things are brighter and more open, they feel like they're more up front and in your face. When things are darker, they tend to feel like they're further back in a mix. So you can use EQ to control the depth perception of what you are using in your mix. I'll give you an example. Let me copy my settings right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this snare, and you'll notice as I take this high cut and back off on the snare, meaning rolling off all that high end, you're going to feel the perception of the snare feeling like it's going further back in the mix, aka messing with the depth. So let's try this out right quick. Let's listen to it in context with the actual mix. So let's start it from the very top. Let me copy these. Let's start it from here and roll back. Listen to the snare. Pay attention to the snare.
Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me.
Did you notice as I rolled back, it felt like the snare fell back? There was a point where, obviously, if you take all that off, it's like, okay, I'm disappearing. But you felt like when I started to roll it back, it started to fall back in the mix. So this is a cool technique if you're trying to figure out, oh, I'm trying to get some depth, or I want this to feel like it's a little bit more pushed back. Volume is cool. That's another kind of 3D thing, which I've heard Dane speak to you guys about. But you can also use the frequency as well to kind of make things fall back a little bit. Just a tip that I really think that'll probably, hopefully the light bulbs, as Jake and Caleb always say, can go off in your heads for y'all. Just to kind of give you another tool to kind of use to create certain things and stuff like that. So that's what I did with my snare. Okay, moving on.
Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along, are you bad?
Now, something else I noticed from yesterday was, remember where we left off, if you were here on day 2, that I noticed that in my limiter, aka my safety net, I noticed that what transient or what energy was the actual limiter was grabbing was that snare. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to get some headroom back by kind of helping that snare to, I guess you could say, calm down. I'm going to try to take those peaks and things of that snare and try to bring them back a bit so that it's not eating up that headroom, so the limiter isn't working hard, and it's going to allow me to be able to make the mix louder later down the line when I give it to the mastering engineer, because it's not eating up so much headroom. So how can I give the snare and keep the snare's punchiness and aggressiveness but bring it back in the mix? I'm going to do something that I've actually even seen Jake do, which a lot of us probably do. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to soft clip the snare. So I'm just letting you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to soft clip the snare. So what I want you to do right now is take a look at the snare, take a look at the actual limiter attenuation meter, and I want you to see what it reacts to. Pay attention. I'm going to find a good spot for it.
Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say.
So I saw that little spike. Let me try to catch it. I want to hone right in on when it actually started to actually give me some gain reduction.
Dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling.
So you saw that? Look again.
I just got a
Let's back it up just a wee bit. Check this out. Look at this place right here, which is right here. Pay attention to the attenuation meter.
Deep down, I just got a feeling that you might.
Cool. So you can see it grabs that it grabs that snare just a little bit. So I'm going to soft clip my snare, which let's put this on right quick. And this is probably my favorite soft clipper on earth. I love this soft clipper so much. And like, it's only, I think it's so cheap. It's amazing. It's an amazing soft clipper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to soft clip the snare just a bit so that I can still keep that aggressiveness and volume of the snare, but mitigate those peaks and those transient information on the snare. So I'm going to soft clip that. So let's do this right quick, and I can hear this solo.
But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm. But deep down, I just got a feeling.
All right, now what I want you to do is first let's listen to the snare volume in the mix, right? And let's see if it feels consistent with what we had before as far as the level is concerned. So I'm gonna bypass the what we just did. I'm gonna take it off. And then what I want to do is I'm going to put it back on, and I want you to hear the volume difference if you feel like, oh, there's a significant volume difference. So I'm going to solo the snare right quick. Let me also make sure I take my parallel compressor off so it doesn't get in the way. And listen to the sound of the snare as far as the volume is concerned right quick. So this is without, and then I'm going to pop it on. So without, I'm going to bypass it back and forth. Without first. So the funny thing is when the effect is on and I'm doing the soft clipping, you actually feel like the snare is a bit louder. Like it's actually a bit louder in the entire grand scheme of the whole thing. Now here's the scary part of it. What I want you to do is now let's go back to the limiter, our safety net, and let's take a look at that moment that the limiter was grabbing. Remember that limiter was grabbing that moment? Now our snare is even louder. Check this out. Look at this moment. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. Look at the reaction of the limiter attenuating.
Baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I want to say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm.
Nothing. We literally got back probably 2 dB of gain, of headroom. Now we can make our mix even louder, and we got a snare that even hits harder. Soft clipping, and this is how we're going to start with the saturation portion of this whole thing. That's how powerful saturation can be, where it can give you volume, intensity, and all of these types of things, but not eat up the voltage of your meters. When I say voltage, I'm talking about headroom and volume and things of that nature. That is super important, because if your plugins are saying, well, I don't have to work so hard, and you're kind of mitigating these things, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to make things louder, bigger, more open, not so weak and tinny. That right there in itself, I hope the light bulbs went off for you. I'll stop right there. Just let me know in the chat, like, did that make sense to you in that regard as far as that's concerned? You can drop a 1 in the chat if that made sense, as Jake always says. Cool. Just want to make sure that clicks to you. Like, that little thing could go so far, like, as far as what you are trying to accomplish and stuff like that with saturation. Somebody asked to show my clipper settings. No problem. I'll show my clipper settings. My clipper settings from the standard clip are this right here. It's nothing crazy. I use Soft Clip Pro, and I literally go to Soft Clip Saturator. I just bring up the intensity on it, and that's about it. Every mix is different, so like that's what I always say. Like every mix is different, so don't just take. There's nothing stuck with my settings. Like this is just what worked for the song as far as that is concerned. Okay, cool. All right, let's keep it going. So move this out the way. So now that we kind of did some snare work, let's go on over to my guitar right quick, which I've been wanting to attack and look at. So one sec. Let's take a look at our guitar. And let's listen to that in relation to the music.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna see you might be bad for me.
So right now I'm just listening to the relationship between my music and the low end and the drums, because I feel like the guitar may be getting in the way of that from the bottom end side of stuff. So I might want to just clean up some low end on the guitar, because I feel like it's just a little muddy when that guitar is there. So let's just clean up some muddiness in the guitar. Let's see if we can get some clarity. Also, a cool thing people may not know about FabFilter, I don't know if you do or not, but I like to put the auto gain on, because basically for the volume that I lose when I cut, it'll give me that back, which is kind of fun, and I love the sound of it. So I'm going to put the auto gain function on. So as I'm taking out all of this low stuff, which I'll play back and forth, you'll notice the guitar feels a lot clearer. Like it feels like my low end just got a lot more like just space and things of that nature just by taking out some of the low end. And I'm doing it with obviously with the shelving EQ as well. Let's take a look.
So quick question. It's gonna automatically level match.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Automatically. Yeah. Automatically level. This is the little button right here. It's automatically gonna level match.
Dude, you guys are every day, you and like students inside of the program too, y'all are convincing me to move towards this Pro Q3. I've been pushing it away for a long time, probably just trying to be like contrarian, right? Because like if it's popular, I don't like it. But
right,
dude, like just more and more, I'm kind of leaning more into the Pro Q3 camp.
Oh yeah, dude. Wait until I show you. I got something else to show you with this thing. Don't worry, it's coming. If that, I got you. Don't worry. We're gonna keep it going. So. Yeah, so let's listen to the guitar. Let's clean up the guitar. Let's get some more stuff to the guitar.
I hate it. I hate to admit it.
We're gonna convert you by the end of this whole session. I promise.
One more thing too before you move on. I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
Of course.
One more time, explain why we're using shelving, or like why you've been preferring shelving recently over filtering.
Gotcha. So there's a lot of reasons why I've been preferring shelving over filtering as of lately. One is phase, which one day maybe on a coaching call, we'll have a discussion about that as far as phase and how it shifts things. No matter what you EQ, you're going to get some phase shifting. But what I've noticed is, and what I started to think about is, because I've been diving so heavy into saturation and harmonics and distortion, I've started to realize that when you take something out completely, you are affecting the order of the harmonics. You're affecting the harmonics going down the chain. If you change something, for instance, at 24,000 hertz, which a lot of mastering EQs, you'll see that, you can't hear 24,000 hertz technically, but you can feel 24,000 hertz. And what that's doing is, and what I've noticed is, when you boost here, the overall tone and sound of the sound changes as well. So what I've been doing as of lately is doing shelving EQs where, yeah, I'm taking out a lot still, but there's still a little bit of that stuff there that's affecting the overall sound. And what I've been noticing, I've been getting fuller sounds out of my entire sound source as far as what I'm looking for. This is something that I'm still experimenting with, I'll be honest with you, but
Yeah.
I've been liking my my end results as of lately when I've just been shelving and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with low cuts and stuff, but it's just lately I've been going this way. I'll be honest, the real reason why I've been going this way is because the SSL EQs, like the E channels and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I realized this is the kind of shelving that they were doing. I remember for years I was like, why do I like this, SSL EQ so much? And then I put the plugin analysis on it and I seen, oh, this is the kind of EQ filter it's using. So then it switched my whole brain and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start trying this and investing in it more. So that's the only reason. I'm not saying anything's wrong with any of the other ones, but I'm just giving you some perspective, like we're doing.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Just some cool perspective I've been working on. I'm still working on it. This is a work in progress as far as this. I'm trying to figure this out, but it's been working so far. Okay. So let's listen to this guitar. I want to hear it back and forth. Let me see what I did so far as if I cleaned up anything. I super noticed that if you're using monitors and stuff like that, I super noticed that guitar kind of just left the bass and the low end stuff and said, oh, I don't belong here. Let me get out y'all way. And it just literally, I'm gonna play it again. You feel like the guitar did like this. It just went up. Like it feels like the guitar just jumped above the mix, kind of like layered, like it kind of layered itself above the mix. Let's play it back and forth one more time. Just that one little move without first. Real subtle, but makes a big difference right there. Let's keep it going. So now we're gonna do something a little advanced. We're driving off the road right now. I'm just letting you know. I'm preparing you for the ride that we're about to go on. I want to undigitize this guitar. I hear it. I know it came from some plugin and things of that nature. I want to give this guitar a unique characteristic that sits in this mix. Why? Because it is the only melodic, pretty much chord, instrument in my entire mix, and I want it when it comes on to feel magical. How do I do that? What can I do to make this emotion come to it and draw it out? How can I do it? Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do right now is something that I've been doing a lot lately. I call it parallel harmonic saturation. This is, I guess to my mind, this is an advanced trick where basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a copy of that sound source and I'm going to add a ton of saturation, compress it. I'm going to create this sound and blend it in with the original. Stay with me. I'm going to show you this and explain. Okay? All right. So what I'll do first is I'll play it by itself just to let you hear it, and then I'll do it again within the context of the mix because I really want you to hear what is about to happen to this guitar. So for the sake of this, what I'll do is I'm going to mute the bass and the drums, so I only want to hear the music, which is the guitar. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a send. I'm going to send this out to something I have in my DAW called Transformer 2. Yes, I'm going to show you what Transformer 2 is. Pre-fader. I'm sending out a copy of the guitar to this fader right here that says Transformer 2. It has a bunch of stuff on it. I'll show you what it does, but first, just listen. All I want you to do is listen to the sound of this guitar and how it is about to shift, okay? So I'm going to take this fader and bring it up, and that is me enhancing and blending the two signals together. it is scary. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it again for you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
do that
bypass
again.
it back. Yeah. I'm gonna bypass it. I did it from a subtle standpoint. Let me make it a little bit more aggressive for you, but I'm gonna bypass it back and forth. Listen to the difference between this guitar before and after. I'm making it a little bit more aggressive so you can really hear it, because obviously I'm listening on monitors. I can really hear this thing. Bypass it back and forth. Without first.
Yeah, it just pops, dude. Like it just pops. It's like a lot more detail, a lot more excitement to it, right? And it just like draws you right into it, right?
Right. It has these overtones that it adds to it, where I can even hear the character of the guitar, where those slides are
Yeah.
even feeling like just more realistic. It adds this grit. So what am I doing? And first and foremost, let me put it in the mix first, and then I'll explain what the heck just happened. So let me put it in context with the music and hear it and bring that up, and then we'll bypass it back and forth. Then I'll explain what the heck I just did. So let's put this in the mix. I want to enhance the guitar. That was my original plan. I want to enhance the guitar. So let's do that.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna see you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you?
Now, in context with the music, there's a huge difference. And what I want you to do is I want you to use your feeling. Use your ears, but I want you to use your feeling. Listen to the sound of this guitar before and after. I'm going to mute it. I know if you're saying, yo, Dope, what the heck did you do? I'm going to show you, but I'm just showing you. If I was mixing, I wouldn't be explaining it. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm blending it in. I'm going to do a back and forth. Listen to it closely before first.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna see you might be bad for me.
The guitar gains width, it gains size, grit, character, all those
Detail.
words you
Detail, man. Yeah, that's what I'm getting the most out of this
Right.
guitar. Is like it really shines a spotlight on all of that detail. It brings it nice and
Yes.
forward, and that creates energy and excitement. And you can hear the imperfections. You can hear string slide,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So just kind of like drawing it all together.
Right. And just blended it in and realize I'm not. So I know a lot of you may be saying, well, why don't you just throw harmonic saturation on the actual track? Well, my brain has been shifting again, saying, why don't I stop altering the sound source, but instead reinforcing and adding to the waveform instead. So that's where my brain has been going, where I'm being less destructive with what I already like and just adding to it from a standpoint of parallel processing. So that's why my brain has been shifting off of harmonic, putting actual harmonic saturation on my actual, sound source, whether that's the vocal and stuff like Fab Filter or all those favorites, and just saying, let me parallel the work so that I can really bring out a lot of the saturation and just blend it to taste. So that's been my new kind of thing. I've just been doing a lot with it. So this is a pretty advanced trick for me personally. You can watch this video over and over again, but I will let you guys see and know exactly my process in this chain that I created. I did get this idea. I do have to give credit to Jason Joshua. I seen him doing this type of thing, and it made the light bulb go off. And I hope for you make your own version of this, and the light bulb goes off for you as well. So
Andrew Sheps does this also with. I've seen him do this with Green Day on the vocals specifically, and just targets like a very specific range and then parallel saturates, so that it's just like that vocal is always hitting you in the same spot consistently, that bright spot.
Right. And you just made a light bulb go off for me in my head, dude, like just now with saying that. Because I could do that. Okay, next time, hey, coaching call, book your coaching call, and I'll put y'all on. I'm gonna show you how to do it. That's an amazing idea. So So yeah, like see how conversation and stuff like that just helps so much, dude. That's why I like doing this, because then I learned myself like, oh, that's a good way to just turn a light bulb for me.
Uh,
So
sick.
we could take a look at the actual parallel processing that's happening with this particular fader. So what I did was I just created or put together or found a bunch of saturation plugins that I loved together, and I said I want to see how all of these sound together, and this is what I've come up with thus far. So what I did is I used a Little Radiator from Sound Toys. I love the sound of this. It's a preamp emulation, and it just has this warm heat to it. Little Radiator kind of thing that I like. Nothing really in depth I can tell you about it, except that this is just a saturation plugin that's emulating saturation that just adds harmonics to your signal. It's really, really nice. I like the way it sounded as far as what I'm trying to accomplish. The next thing I have here is an SSL comp.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So I'm smashing this. I'm smashing the sound source because I'm trying to make it really tight and not so dynamic where if I blend it in, it kind of just ruins my kind of place that I put it, but rather it's like I am just a ball of audio and I just want to sit with someone. So that's why I smash it right here. And I'm smashing it pretty hard. If you look, I'll solo it. Let's see how much I'm smashing it. So it's about 8 dB of gain reduction I'm doing. I'm pretty much smashing it. You can see my settings right here. Very fast very fast release, very slow attack. So I'm still getting some transient stuff, and it's kind of giving me some type of dynamics, but nonetheless, it feels like it's moving. That's why you're getting the perception of the guitar having some type of, a little bit of dynamics, because it's kind of pumping a little bit as well in the mix. So that's there. Next plugin I have is the Black Box. This is my favorite harmonic saturation plugin on earth. I'll show you more with it later when I use it for vocals, but just showing you that. Here are my settings. You can check it out. Next, that's feeding the Magma BB tubes. This is
you're cranking these.
going crazy, dude. Just adding so much saturation to this. But realize it's not a lot because I'm just blending to taste. Now, if I took all this and slapped it on the sound source, I'm doing too much, you know? But if I'm blending it with something, then that's where I can like play with it more and have more of more just movement with it and just more functions. So Magma BB tube, crushing it, getting some more saturation. This thing feels really warm sounding. I know we hate that word, but it does. It has like a warmer sound to it that I like, so I added this. Last but almost not least, I added the NLS bus on the spike setting, put the drive up a little bit. That's some more saturation. And then what I'm doing here is I'm taking out some of that low stuff because I know that some of that low stuff is going to, get in the way. But important to note, I'm using a linear phase on this EQ. I'll explain that later on as far as why that's important, but it's important that when you're doing that kind of parallel processing, you got to be careful and know when to use linear phase, and kind of like you got to be real careful with that. So
it looks like you pulled out some of that honk there too.
Yeah, some of that honk, some of that, I know that 800 where it can get like real muddy and just kind of honk sounding. So that's there. So that's my parallel saturation chain as far as what I've labeled Transformer 2. And that is what I use to basically undigitize instruments. So sometimes I may put that on other instruments as well. Sometimes I may make a third one and use that to undigitize instruments. But primarily what I'm doing with this parallel saturation train that is a part of my template, my mixing template, is I use this to basically add harmonics to sounds, undigitize them, and make them more lively and exciting. And that's it. What'll shock you and make you realize. Yep, go ahead, talk to me. Mm-hmm.
Do you share that with other tracks, the aux?
As far as you saying, like, do I give anything else?
Yeah, do you send anything else to it? Like, where is it typical for you to send more than one thing to that aux?
So I'll be honest, no more than 2. And the only reason I probably won't do no more than 2 sounds is because, one, I don't want all the saturation to sound the same.
Yeah, variety. Yeah.
So that's why sometimes I'll create a third transformer and I'll basically change up the order or just make it different, add a different saturation plugin. I don't want all the saturation to sound like the same, because that's the beauty of analog gear, is it's sounding all different, the chaos. So that was a great question, by the way, because that's why I brought up I do the third transformer sometimes for that. Yeah. As you can see, I have a first transformer over here too. I have a number 1. I'll show you about that in a second. But for the most part, I didn't do any EQ on that guitar except roll off some bottom end. I didn't boost anything, but look at all that information I got, right? Cool. So let's move on. Now I'm in the groove. I'm just going to start to just do things that I hear and just go from there.
Right on.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl. But girl, this. I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna sing. Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for?
So my brain is telling me that hi-hat is just kind of like, hey, I live here, but I don't really like, I don't have a nice place for me. Like, I'm just kind of like hanging out here. So I'm going to do a trick that I like to do when it comes to hi-hats and stuff. And I'm going to try to move and create a space for the hi-hat. Check this out. Also, there's a Soothe plugin on here for you just in case you missed it. And I know you guys love Soothe. Yeah, there you go. I got some Soothe here for you. I didn't forget about you. And it's doing some attenuation in that 4K frequency where sometimes it gets a little harsh when it gets a little weird there, especially with this one. So check this out.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. Not the type.
All right, so right now what I want to do is I'm going to roll off some of the low end on that hi-hat because I can tell that there's a little bit of low end there. Let's take a look. And remember, this is a game of inches. Basically, I'm just trying to find and carve out spaces. And I'm using my ears and I'm noticing. I'm like, that hi-hat feels like it has some low end on it. Let's take a look. Yeah, you see all that low end there? There's no need. Like, there's no need for that, like in my hi-hat. So I'm going to make some space. And right now I'm going to use a regular high cut. Or excuse me, low cut.
If I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me?
Cool, I want to keep making a different space for the hi-hat. I want to take the hi-hat and I want it to be somewhere else. I'm going to show you a really cool trick actually. Did that freak you out just now from a stereo whiff standpoint? I'm about to show you a really cool trick. I'm just letting you know. Let me just dial in some settings. Let me figure it out, then I'll explain it. But I'm doing some spatial stuff with this hi-hat. Yes, I'm listening in mono just to make sure that this still has mono capability. Very important. I'll explain that later.
Yeah, I was going to point that out.
Yeah, I just put it in mono just in case people were like, whoa, what the heck happened? I just threw it in mono. I'm throwing it back and forth in mono right now.
You might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me?
Wow. Okay, now listen to the difference between the snare, the hi-hat before and the hi-hat now. What I want you to pay attention to is the hi-hat now feels like it went from I'm just chilling kind of like in the middle over here to, hey, I'm over here on the sides now, like kind of watching the band. Like, pay attention to this hi-hat. I want you to pay attention to the feeling of this hi-hat. I'm going to bypass this effect back and forth without first.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. Not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me?
Cool. So you could feel the spatial, the space that got created for the hi-hat where it feels like it got pushed out to the sides. Now, this plugin right here is not talked about enough. I'm going to put you guys onto this. If you haven't, if you already know, cool. But I love this plugin so much because unlike other kind of stereo widening plugins that I can just, for instance, throw an S1 imager, crank it up, and it spreads it evenly across both sides. What this does is, and it's so interesting, I think it's amazing, it takes it, right, and instead of saying left channel, right channel, it says, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'll take the 2K frequency and I'll throw that over to the left. And then I'll take the 3K frequency and I'll throw that to the right. I'll take the 8K frequency, I'll throw that to the left. I'll take the 10K frequency and throw that to the right. It gives an impression of kind of like two different actual hi-hats or sound sources in different frequency spectrums playing at the same time. It's really, it gives me such a pleasing sound that still gives me some mono capability as well. And it just has a really dope open sound to it. And beautiful thing is it allows me to make sure that the low end stuff from 512, as you can see right here, it allows me to choke that and make sure I keep it mono. So as you can see, if I go down like this, that's me making the 128 wider to the side, or the 512 wider to the side. But if I go up like this, it chokes it, and it's only, or more or less, moving the frequencies at the top side of the spectrum out to the left and right channels. So instead of moving or trying to widen the stereo image from a perspective of, okay, just left and right, I'm using frequencies to say, hey, throw the 8 kilohertz frequency of that guitar or whatever the sound is to the left, throw that 10K over there to the right. A lot of times you can think about it like this. Sometimes with a guitar, and I've seen this before, people will record a guitar, 2 mics, and one mic of the guitar will be over to the left, and another mic that was recorded on a different sound source will be over to the right, and it gives you this stereo kind of feel. So this isn't coming out of nowhere as far as this is concerned, but this is just another technique I use. I like to use it on high-end stuff to move it out the way. So just a tidbit. I hope that helps you. I think that somebody is about to go buy this plugin right now for sure.
So something like to be mentioned though is that these can be easily overused, right?
Ooh,
and the way
massive.
that Devon just did this, a couple things. Number one, subtlety, right? He did this very subtly, very intentionally. Number two, he actually checked the phase, right? Because if you start tossing these kind of things on a bunch of tracks, it can easily go like this and just smear the frequencies all across the stereo field and create a very, very disorienting effect, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I call and you guys who know me, right? I call these danger zone plugins. They can be used, you can use them totally, but used improperly can just completely kill your mix.
Yeah.
Just my 2 pennies on that.
No, and it's worth it. And I'm glad you said that because I do want to make sure, because somebody's going to watch this, unfortunately, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can make everything super wide. And it's like, yeah, but no. What makes things feel, let me tell you what makes things feel really wide in a mix. You know what makes things feel really wide in a mix? When something is super monoed, super centered, and there's an element that's outside. The contrast of those is what makes it feel wide, not the everything is just wide. No. So I need certain things super focused, hyper up the middle, kind of just hitting here. And then that little bit of dust that you add to the sides, like, oh, wow, this feel. Now you got to make people see the dimension. If they can only see one line, there's no dimension. And it could be a wide line. But if you make them see there's a curve here and a curve here and a curve here, now I can see the whole space and actually have the perception of width. So when width is really a perception, it's not really just make things wide. It's really how can you make us think that this is wide or feel the width of the record. So that PS22 plugin that you see, that's probably the only element that I'll make like that. You understand what I'm saying? And that's it. Let's keep it going. So let's listen. So right now I want to do some processing to the vocals because I want to start to get that vocal in a nice place. Let's listen.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while.
Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a plate verb to this vocal. I'll explain in a second, but I'm going to add a plate verb. The plate verb is going to give me some stereo feel of this vocal, and it's also going to give me a little bit of a space for the vocal to make it a little bit more believable.
I can tell the way that you walk. I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me?
Isn't that ridiculously subtle? But it does so much. It's so subtle, but it does so much. It makes it more believable. You believe it. I'll show you my settings. So basically what I did was I'm using a plate verb. A really, really intensely short verb that's just giving me a little bit of sense of space and clarity. Now, I'll solo it so you can take a listen to it. One sec.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of...
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. So that's the effect. It's kind of adding, I got excited, my bad, I got super excited. So that's the effect. It's kind of adding this subtlety and helping to extend the tails of the vocal, kind of making the vocal hang with you a little bit more and make it a little floaty. Not a big reverb, a really, really short plate style verb. Now, settings. I'm using an extremely short decay time or reverb time because I don't want it to be so high. Why I don't want it to be so high? Remember I told you guys, sometimes when you put really big reverbs on sound sources, it can start to make your mix feel less, have less fidelity. It can destroy the separation between stuff. I'll even give you an example. We have this short verb on right now. I'm going to crank it. I'm going to crank the reverb time to something that you may have already, like a 2.8 or 3. Take a listen to the sound.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way I'm gonna say
it kind of feels muddy, right? Like the entire sound, it just kind of lost its like fun. Like it just kind of felt like it's kind of boring now because that buildup of that reverb and stuff like that is just there. So that's why I always try to use my ear to find sweet spots as far as where that reverb should reside. Now there is a math equation which I feel like I don't want to go too deep into that you could do for this other thing, which is called pre-delay. Now, I love the FabFilter Pro FabFilter Pro R because it gives me the pre-delays in time with the song. Some of you may be saying, what the heck is a pre-delay? Okay, when you first engage a reverb or any of the reverbs, right? How does the reverb know when to attack or come on to the sound source, right? Long story short, what you could do is you could use pre-delay. When you use pre-delay, you're basically telling the reverb, hey, before you drown my sound source in any reverb or anything like that, let a little bit cut through so that I can hear it, it's clear, and I can hear those initial moments. And then I want you to come on to the sound source and give me that feeling of reverb. When you have a pre-delay that's at 0, basically you're telling the reverb, as soon as the vocal or sound source comes on, I want you to be right on top of it. What you're going to do is you're going to disrupt some of that clarity, some of that transient. You're going to mush some things out. You're going to wash some things out. Sometimes, if that's the effect. For this particular vocal, I wanted that to cut through. I want to hear that initial transient. I want to hear that clarity. And then I want that feeling of the reverb to come. So there is a timing. There is a mathematical equation you can use to find the milliseconds of what your pre-delay, I don't want to say should be, but a place where it's quote unquote in time. I'm going to show you a cheat code to people that really weren't good in math to figure out.
Oh, here we go. He's getting deep.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you a really quick way to figure out your pre-delay times. Yo, bro, watch a bunch of people go, oh my God.
We don't do math here, brother.
Yeah, come on.
I heard. And listen, I'm
today.
And so
I'd have gone to college.
We use our ears here.
Right. You're absolutely right. I'm just going to show you this non-math thing that you can do to never have to do math again. Okay? How about that? Okay. So, to never do math again. Say, for instance, you say to yourself, hey, Devon, I want the 16th note pre-delay of my vocal. Well, guess what? You can open up an H delay, hit milliseconds. It's right there, 163 milliseconds. That's it. You can say, if you want to know the 8th note, right? Go to 8th. Boom, it's 326. It just doubles. That's basically it. So if I'm looking for the quarter note delay, for instance, in my session, as far as pre-delays or reverb times, then basically I just go here, click this, boom. That's how many milliseconds a quarter note delay is with my song, because it's locked to the tempo. So no math, but just showing you if you just were wondering. Okay.
I only kid. No, it's a great technique. Actually, it can really lock your delay times in, your reverb times in.
But sometimes you might not want to be directly on the beat. Sometimes you want to fill the gaps in a way that's imperfect, so that you can hear that space or feel that space in a different way. So again, we're taking always and never. I'm taking a page from Devon's book, and we're tossing it away. Right? This isn't licensed to just like ignore those on the grid delay times, pre-delay times, or attack times, or anything like that. Right? It all it's very case by case, and it all depends. Right? The dreaded "it depends" answer.
Yeah. Use your ears. Put it there. Use your ears. All right. I'm moving on. So now what I'm going to do is I feel like I might want to add a sense of this 8th note delay. And remember, I'm doing this off the whim. So let me just take a listen. This is how I would do it. Let me just see how it feels.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along, are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
So I like this on the chorus. This is going to be dope on the hook. Like, so this is kind of going to be an automation kind of thing that's going to happen, but I feel it now, so I'm going. Like, that's basically what it is. So I'm just going to make sure I have this only going for the hook, because I could tell, like, when the hook come on and that moment comes on and it feels like that 8th note delay kind of riding, it's going to be dope. So basically, for people that don't know, I just added an 8th note delay. I'll solo it so you can hear it for what it is.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list.
So you hear that, like that doubling, like that, like that kind of thing. It just adds a flavor to it, this psychedelic kind of flavor, and I like it on the actual hook. Not for the whole song. Maybe I'll tuck it just a little bit on the verses, but now on the hook, I feel like it would be a dope, grandiose kind of thing. Which I'll go to the hook now and just play with it and see. So.
Tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad
love that for the hook. So I'm gonna play with this right quick. I'm gonna do it really quick. So this is a eighth note delay. Let's do a mute automation. All I'm gonna do is say, hey, don't be on, and then come on when the hook comes on. So that's it. So let's put this here, and I'm cool.
So
So let's go here now.
say you might be bad for me.
So a little bit more. Let's just back it up a little bit. It's probably around. It's here. So let's do this.
Say you might be bad for me. Say you might be bad.
Right there. So this whole thing. I'm gonna do this.
Way I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me?
Cool. So now we got some automation going with that. Nothing crazy, just some quick automation. I just want that throw to be there on the, that eighth note delay to be there on the hook. So it's not on the regular stuff, but it's just on a hook. Now, I do like the sound of it though. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to tuck a little tiny eighth note delay underneath. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all those effects, those little time-based effects that we created off, and I want you to feel this difference with these little minor things we did. If I had more time, I'd take my time, I'd do all kinds of stuff, but for the sake of the video, I'm just trying to get through and just figure it out. So let's put a tiny little eighth note delay underneath, which is right here.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me?
Cool, carrying on, sticking with the vocal. I kind of hear some things in the vocal I want to fix.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad.
Okay, you guys ready to convert Jake over to FabFilter Pro Q? Say 1 in the chat if you're ready to convert him over. Because I'm about to convert him.
No, don't convert me.
What's happening, bro? I'm telling you now, I'm about to show, something.
Real quick. You guys who have seen me mix before, are you seeing some patterns? Are you seeing some similarities right now?
Yeah,
5 in the
sure.
chat. If you're seeing some similarities in the concepts, not necessarily the exact way that we approach things, but the concepts, the high level concepts,
They're the same,
the principles.
100%.
Okay.
We're in such a
So-
line. All right.
Yes, super similar, dude. Like, like I knew that. It's like everyone has their way of like getting to the goal, getting to the finish line. Like, and that's why I say, you got to figure out what works for you. And that's why I'm glad you keep reinforcing that, like where it's like, hey, these are 2 different people, similar concepts, but just different ways to kind of, get there.
Right. We have our
Okay.
different tools. We have the tools that we like and that we've gravitated towards. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Heck yeah. So right now what I'm going to do is I want to see in my mix between the music. This is when I'm starting to look at my relationships from a very, very like deep lens. I'm going to look at my music and my vocal. I'm going to look at my relationships, right? Drums, bass, and vocals, and I believe music. The 4 subgroups that I have. And I want to start looking at the relationships between them. So right now, FabFilter has this amazing feature. Maybe you do know about it, maybe you don't. It's called the collision feature. And basically what it does is it gives you an idea of what frequencies against other frequencies of whatever sound source you choose are on top of each other and clashing and causing frequency masking. It is amazing. So right now I'm just going to check and start to look at my relationship. So what you're seeing right now is you're seeing the vocals, right? This is a FabFilter Pro EQ on the vocals. And I also put, hey, show me the music as far as the frequency spectrum of all the music that's there too. And it's going to let me know what is quote unquote colliding with each other and causing some frequency masking, thus allowing me to say, oh, well, I just got to take out some of that there. Okay. So what I'll do is this, because most likely I'll take it out of the music. So let's take this. Let's set it to vocals and effects. Let me take a listen.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me.
So a little red thing kind of pops up when there's a little bit of a collision there. So it's already letting me know in that 1,800 hertz range, there's a little bit of a masking or colliding frequency at that spot between the music and the vocals. Great. Not going to make a move, but it's just kind of putting it on my radar. I'm going to check my other relationship now. So let me just put this here. This is a wild way to do this. Like, this is wild. Like, this is such a cool way to do it. I definitely recommend it if you're like just trying to get your ears in tune and try to figure out like, oh, what does that sound like and stuff like that. So now let's listen to my music in comparison to my drums. Let me see what my music and drums are doing. So right now I'm going to go to my music. I want to see music. Mute the vocals. Let me hear this. Let's see what this sounds. So I'm getting a little bit of a collision at 115. If you see, you're seeing like these red stripes kind of pop up. That's basically letting me know what frequencies are colliding and where I can kind of pay attention to.
Oh yeah, I see now.
It's probably tough to see like through the zoom and stuff like that, but yeah, that's basically what it does.
I saw it that time. Yeah.
Oh, you saw it that time? Okay. Where it got hot, like it got really hot.
Yep.
It's so slight, but it got a little cleaner, me moving that out the way a little bit. So basically what I did was in the music, I got rid of the 130 hertz because that was colliding with the drums a little bit. And I just backed that off. Basically, that's just the guitar. And I just backed that off to make room, make a little bit more room for the drums, which probably now the bass will even cut through too, which we're about to attack right now.
Consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while.
Okay, I'm approaching saturation with the vocals. 1 second. I just want to get some saturation to this vocal now, which is this. And this is linked to here. I'll explain this in a second. This is also a wild little saturation trick I'm about to do. Let's do it post because I'm compressing. Yes, do it pre. So this is for the vocals. You're going to notice a change in the vocals, and I explain what I'm doing.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me?
Ooh, I wonder if anyone is using monitors or something, I wonder if you notice that difference. What I'll do is let me just solo the vocal now, because I heard it in context with the mix, but just for people that are still training, trying to figure this out, listen to the difference between none of this parallel harmonic saturation that I created and without it. So without first, which is mind-boggling. So without first, listen to this.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me.
You see Jake showing like it feels like it's just said, like it laser beamed right there and it's adding harmonics to the high end. It feels brighter, it feels more open, and it just feels better for the most part. So I just added a little bit of harmonic saturation in parallel with the lead vocal. Now,
Well,
if you want to see,
it sounded really familiar too, because
uh-huh.
this is something that you're hearing in a lot of like pop hip hop style vocals, because it
Yeah,
gives it that bite. That's some very modern sound. You can totally
Cut.
listen to top 40, you'll hear that kind of distortion in the vocals and other things. There's something very
yeah,
familiar about that move right there.
yeah, yeah. It feels like this scratchy kind of like bitey sound. Like I love the word bite. You said that, like that's my favorite word when it comes to like brightness. I'm like it just feels a little more bitey. So what I did was, remember, I just took a sent it out to this parallel harmonic saturation chain. Remember, this is another one that I just sat one day and just created. I'm using the black box design. I love this saturator so much. I then took that out and smashed it to a DBX 160. And then I'm using a de-esser to kind of mitigate all that high end that it basically put into the signal. So that's basically my chain as far as that harmonic saturation. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to my reference track right quick and just see how bright those vocals are in the reference track and see if I just want to add even a little bit more or where I'm at with it. So let me just listen to my reference track. Let me listen to mine again and then I'll go to my reference track.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive.
You
Tell the
close.
way that you walk and you mean
This song is to remind you that even on your worst days, I know you deserve it, so don't you ever try.
Tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent.
So I know now I can get away with just a little bit more. I can make it I can add a little bit more sheen to it. Realize also, everyone, that I have not boosted any high end on this vocal. Isn't that crazy? Like I boosted just a little bit at the 8K range, but I haven't done any crazy high end boosting. And that's what I try to put in your head, where sometimes you don't have to use those destructive tools to achieve what you're looking for. Sometimes you can be subtractive in order to gain something. You know what I mean? Like taking away low end can make things be perceived as brighter. Let's keep it going.
You guys recognizing some patterns? We talk about that all the time. We just talked about
That's
it in a
good.
coaching call the other day.
That's good. Being more subtractive. I'm more subtractive than I am additive. Like for sure. Okay. So let me listen to this vocal right quick. I hear some things in the vocal that I feel like could be cleaner. So what I'm looking for, I'm just looking for some things in the vocal that could be a little cleaner. Because when I heard his, I'm like, okay, there's some cleaning I need to do. There's a little bit, still some mud in my vocal that I need to get rid of. So I'm going to find those spots right quick.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along, are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Can tell the way that you walk and you
There.
these other women.
There. Right there.
Tell the way that you walk and you mean.
I thought I lost it too. I was like, crap, I lost it. I laughed. I got it.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way.
Oh, that's feeling better. It's feeling better. We'll keep it going. Also, guess what? Trying to convert Jake. Let's turn on the auto gain function.
Oh,
Just to bring back what we lost.
I wish there was like a video game like convert meter that was just like filling up as like every time you use this EQ, you could just see it. Like,
We should make like when we hit a goal, it's like, yo, we
almost like,
use that.
yeah, or almost like a needle. Like
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. The way I'm gonna say, you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along, are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
Doing that move right there in that upper register is helping me get more control on the belts. Because when it belts, I did feel that kind of pain frequency kind of like say erupt a bit. So that's why I did that. So to everyone that's watching, basically what I just did was I did some dynamic EQing to hone in on some parts to clean up the vocal where I felt like it doesn't really feel too pristine, too clean. It feels clean in a sense, but I just felt like it was a little cloudy. So that's basically what I was trying to accomplish and just get some more clarity out of the vocal. And I felt like I just needed, and I didn't know where it was, right? Like I didn't know where it was, but I just felt like this could be clearer. So what did I do? I went in, sweeped, found certain spots. Then you heard me play the music back with it in context and then do it. So I didn't do it just solo, did it and just notch it out. I said, okay, let me listen to the music as I actually make these, notches and stuff like that. And I found a few frequency ranges that I felt like, oh, those could be taken down a little bit and stuff like that. So that's what I just did there, just to give you some clarity on what just happened. I have a little bit more mud that I hear, but other than that, I'm in a great place, and then we're gonna move on.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being
My goodness.
consistent. Say this.
Listen to the before and after. Like it's subtle, but it's so much. Listen to before and after. Without first.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect. Girl, I got
Mid-range,
you on my
those mid-range
the type
moves.
of-
Those mid-range moves is what does it for me. It's like it turns it from something a little bit hard to swallow to just like clearing it out. Right? Nice and smooth. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, and the swallow thing, it definitely it gives. I know exactly what you mean when you use that analogy as far as that's concerned, for sure. Okay, let's keep this going. Yeah, my bad. I get a little excited and I forget. I get caught. I lose myself.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Respect, girl, I got you.
Yup.
You might be too much for me, but either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad? Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me.
Okay, and after all that subtractive EQing, I'm finally going to do some additive EQing, and I'm going to do the shameless plug.
There
I'm
it
gonna use my
is.
own plugin. I'm going to use the Rosetta EQ just to give me some clarity and some air that I want. Just some of that top end that I love. I love how this plugin does it. Yes, it is my own plugin.
Who makes this
But
plugin? One more time. Who makes it?
oh, it's me. I make this plugin. This is my plugin that we have developed. Yes.
I love
Thank you very much. Which I have to give all of you guys a copy of, which I'm terribly sorry. That should have been like the first. I should have came with gifts when we first started like doing this.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong, are you bad for me? Don't drag me along, are you bad for me?
Yeah,
So subtle.
opens up the
Just
top end.
Yes, just opened up the top end just a bit and stuff like that. I'll bypass it back and forth in solo so you can really hear what it did.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while.
Super open, like it just opened it up a little bit, and I'm gonna add a few more things to it. I like to use my Rosetta EQ as a finishing EQ. That's kind of where my brain goes, where I say, let me just add those things or subtract those things that like from a final standpoint, like, okay, what's the final things that I'm really looking for? And I got words that just let me know I'm looking for more bite. Like me and Caleb said, that's one of my favorite words. Like, I'm gonna add some bite to this, you know what I mean? I'm gonna add some warmth, or am I missing presence? It's my finishing EQ. It's like the cleanup. It's basically my cleanup.
Can I ask you just a couple like under the hood questions about this?
Of course.
Dude, so what are the bands and what are the cues?
So basically, if you click this little help button right here, which is a new update we have, if you click the little question mark and hover over, boom, all the information is right there.
Oh, sick. Okay.
So it lets you know how much maximum is, what exact bands it's actually attacking as far as the cue. You can also change the cue. You see bandwidth style down here. I'm sorry to make this a commercial, but he asked.
No, it's cool. I asked.
Yeah. If you look at bandwidth style here, you can see it's balanced, extreme, and surgical. Surgical being a very small cue, balanced being a wider cue, and extreme being a much, much wider cue. So that's basically. And in the manual, I have it like super detailed as far as like 24 dB per octave and what the low cut and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, what the slopes are and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, that's basically what that is for the most part. So yeah, you can check it out. You can hit the little question mark and it'll tell you all the information you need to know as far as everything. Yeah. So I'm gonna add some bite to this.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
Now the vocal has a nice little sheen to it that I like. Of course, I'll come back to it. Usually with S's and T's, I'll be honest, I'll draw and I'll cut that out, but we're not going to do that today, of course. But just to keep it in mind, you can use the S's and stuff, but sometimes and a lot of times I like doing manual and drawing it out. But for right now, I'm cool where I'm at. Let's keep it going. One last thing I do want to do to this vocal is I do want to pop it a little bit in that mid-range. This is a little trick I do. I'm going to use some expansion. You'll see in a second.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl, I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
So it just gives me a little bit more pop in the vocal, kind of makes it feel a little more dynamic and kind of opens it up just a little bit. I can already hear in the back of my mind things I would want to fix and stuff, but I really want to show you some other stuff going on. But for right now, I'm cool. I'm not mad at that at all. Let's keep it going.
Do you want to do like a 5-minute ear break?
Yeah, I can do a quick second if you want to interject for a second.
Well, we just like to break it up, give people a chance to go to the bathroom, grab a
Yeah,
drink.
let's do that because let me walk outside right quick.
break sounds
Is that
great.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sick. What do you think? About 5 minutes?
Yeah, and there were a couple questions I wanted to get to as well. In the meantime, if anyone wants to hang out.
Right on. I'm gonna go find out why my daughter's screaming upstairs. I'll be back.
I don't want to know. Just wanted to share with you all a little bit more behind the scenes of kind of how the program works. There were some questions about that. Also, need to get that link up a couple more times for you guys. I know there's some people still trying to book some calls. But this is what it is. This is behind the scenes. We have a community just like I said, with about 700 members at this time. These are all just people chatting with each other, and you can see, how much response everyone's getting on their stuff. Everyone's just really supporting each other, helping each other. Like I said, I think the community is such an incredible part of what we're doing here. And one of my favorite things to do is just go up and search like wins, because that's fun to just kind of see as you go through all the wins that people are celebrating and talking about. People getting their first clients, all that kind of stuff. It's just really fun to go through these. We also have the classroom tab. So instead of it hosting some of the the past Fix the Mixes or the replays or stuff, this is the curriculum you go through, and you can see it's broken down into mastering first, mixing, production. But this is a whole ton of information. You'll see, for example, let's see, there's some videos that are maybe 10-20 minutes long, but also some that are 3 hours 43 minutes here, all about just EQing. What are some other big ones, Nick? There's some that are even longer. I think we have a 9-hour video in there. Hundreds of videos walking you through curriculum. So it's like a lot about technique and the technical part, but so much about mindset, because that's the stuff that will allow you to continue to grow. If you have the right mindset of how to approach everything, to cut out the noise of what we're hearing about tips and tricks and presets and all that, and to focus in on how to change your relationship with sound on a fundamental level. We do that with obviously mastering first, then a full mixing. It's just the same thing all the way through a big comprehensive course, a whole week on vocals, for example, hours and hours of stuff. So you're absorbing this information, and then you're coming on the mentor calls and you're asking the questions you have, or you're asking in the community. A lot of times you can even get a quicker answer there. And then you go on to the production portion. But now we're talking about cool things. I think I mentioned it when I was talking before. We're not talking about any sort of technical skill now. It's all emotion. So we're talking about movement and atmosphere and character and emotion, and how to connect with that, and what ways we can utilize and shape sound in certain ways to provocate certain emotions. Right. A lot of philosophy there. That's really beautiful. And we have a calendar right here. It's got all of our dates in it and different things where you can hop on, get on these mentor calls. We have one starting next week. We'll have one every day because Devon's going to start doing one. You click on these; they're very cool. So the people who have questions, they can have all the time they need. Like I said, it's your DAW's pulled up if you need to. We're looking at it. We're going through stuff. My face, your face. As much time as you need to have the questions that you have answered. But if you don't have questions, what's cool is we also open them up so you can just also listen in. And I think a lot of our community really likes that feature. They can just get on and learn from the conversations that are happening as a community. So people can get one-on-one time. There's no one else talking. It's very individual, but also we're learning from those experiences we go through, which is very, very cool. We also have residencies that we bring in all the time. So people from the industry. This month we've had Nicholas de Porcel in, who is one of the very few diamond certified mastering engineers. He's been working directly with our students every week as well this month. His presentations have been absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, they're just blowing it. He's one of the best on the planet at this right now, and he was just blowing everyone's minds, including all the instructors. And so we love to have guys like him come in. He loves working with our students with us as well, and it's a relationship will continue for a long time. So that's just in addition. We're just bringing these people in, ways to make connections. And then we also have electives. So you have an opportunity to, at some point, you can go and get electives. We have more than the one here, but you could go through and specialize in something. So if you want to be a producer, if you want to be a mix and mastering engineer, if you want to, we're building one for publishing and licensing, which is going to be a big one. Think about the value here, not just to teach you the ins and outs of how the licensing publishing industry works, but literally bringing people in every month or every other month who are A&Rs, who are people from licensed publishing companies. They will listen to your music. They will give you advice. They will probably work with some of the students. These are connections that would be normally very hard to make, but we pay good money to have them come in and work with our students. And they like to do it because they know that our students have gone through a rigorous process and that they're usually very good at what they do. And so now it's just about leveraging that, like I talked about, where we can bring in these big time industry people to help you make the connections that would be really hard for you to make on your own, which is something that our students have been asking for a long time, and we're really trying to deliver on that. So it's a lot. There's a lot of facets to this. The community, the curriculum you go through, the mentor calls, the residencies we have every month, the electives that you can do later. The goal here is to give you every reason, every possible thing you could need to be successful at reaching your goals. There's nothing that you would need beyond this other than your own passion and work ethic to align with it, which is part of why we have a call with you. If your passion and work ethic, if your desire aligns with what we're meeting you halfway with here, you can go anywhere you want to go. You can do anything you want to do in this industry. And we've had so much success. I didn't probably talk enough about what our students have done. We have students in our program who've won Grammys, who have been nominated for Emmys, who've won Latin Grammys, who are working for Disney, who are working for probably all the different major labels at this point, who have started their own companies and are just doing independently really great things, having thriving businesses, placements and all sorts of TV and commercials, and Coke, Cadillac, Intel, all that. We love the success of our students. That's what really matters to us at the end of the day. We could have all the content in the world, all the mentorship in the world, but if it's not producing people that can go and disrupt the industry, then what's the point, right? So that's why I love reading through the wins, because it's people who are having successes and having their dreams come to fruition, having their goals come to life. Again, it's not a hard sell. We're not trying to put anyone into this who wouldn't be a good fit, but for those of you who have been feeling frustrated, who really feel like it's time for you to invest in yourself, to invest in your process, to take that leap of faith in yourself, there will always be an angel and a devil on your shoulders. One saying, I can't do this. One saying it's too expensive. One saying, I don't know if I have the talent to do it. I don't know if I'm creative enough. I don't know. There's always this imposter syndrome that will push back on the voice that's saying, no, you can go for it. You have one life to live. Why waste it? What I hate most of all is when people stop listening or start listening to the devil voice too much. The other one quiets itself. And you get a lot of people who have given into that feeling of imposter syndrome, who've given up on believing and don't even believe that there is a place for them in the industry. And it's just not true. There's so much work out there. There's so much music being made. There's like 60,000 tracks being uploaded to Spotify every day. There's tons of mastering work and mixing work. There's so much need for new artists. Music's getting so sterile. You can be a part of this. You just have to believe in yourself, and you have to find the right mentors and program that's going to help you get there. We believe that that's what we have here. But whether you do that with us or someone else, find someone who can, that speaks to your soul, find someone who can elevate you and guide you through to be the best version of yourself. And that's what would really matter to all of us. That's what matters at the end of the day. So Michael's spamming that book a call link right now. Go ahead and book those calls. We're going to leave that open for about 5 more minutes. And then we'll have to probably close that up. It's getting pretty full.
Yeah, I'll say one final thing about the program is like we have one philosophy, which is basically if we pour into our students and if we under promise and over fulfill, that eventually that would pay off, right? And that's what we try and do with the Fix Mix Challenge is like, this is free, right? Obviously you sit through a little bit of period of time where we talk about our program and stuff, but other than that, like this is completely free. And that's because we believe that if we treat you really, really well, that we'll get better students. And you can see that our students in the chat, I know, probably think that we pay them to say these things, but they really don't. And it's because hopefully I like to think we treat them really well and then they treat us really well back. So like everything we do, we try not to be pushy or anything like this. Like
Big family.
it's,
It gets
yeah,
that way. Yeah.
I've just seen so many companies, and I'm coming from the world of finance where it's like they focus on just screwing the customer as much as possible. We believe that if we pour into them, they'll take care of us back. And that's been the case so far. So I don't know if you like that
Just need
vibe,
more sick music out there, man.
you know.
You know, like let's just get more sick music out there in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty sterile right now. I'd love to see it. And there's so many, the industry needs disruption. It has gotten too sterile. There's all these elitist people saying, no, you have to have all this gear and this crazy thing to ever do it. And then you have Phineas and Billie Eilish come along and say, no, you don't. I'll win 7 Grammys and I'll do it in my bedroom.
That's
And all the
right.
big studios are going, oh, we're screwed.
But
And then there's other people saying, oh, you could do it really fast. All you got to do is buy this plugin. It's really simple. That's the other voice that's holding people back. You got to stop listening to either of those voices and listen to good sense, which is anyone who's ever accomplished anything in this world has worked really, really hard for it, has put 10,000 hours in for it. And we built the program around the backbone of that kind of information. And so, yeah, it's hard work, but it's fun work when you're finally making breakthroughs, when you're finally seeing yourself grow, when you're seeing things start to explode, your mind's catching on fire. There's nothing more fun than that when it's something that you love, that you're passionate about.
bro, the tracks that I heard this week on our mentorship calls, you would not believe. Absolutely incredible. There's some sick talent inside here too.
I was
Right.
thinking last night, like I think people should absolutely start outgrowing all of us that are on the mentorship team here.
Oh, it's
Because they're getting
definitely
from us,
happening.
they're getting from me, they're getting from you, and they should take the best of all of that and excel past us. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And they're
They
starting
already
to,
are.
yeah, there's students just doing crazy stuff.
It's inspiring.
All right. Anyone last one's booking a call to wait for? Seen a few more roll in. Just make sure we want to talk to you if it's a good fit.
I'll put a little bow on this here thing that I've been doing.
Yeah, Charlie, we're gonna do tons of electives. We're gonna do producing. We'll do mixing, mastering, which is almost done. Licensing, publishing, an artist one. We may even do a songwriting one, and I'll probably 100% do an Atmos one as well. That may
Is
just
Atmos is going to be an elective, you think?
no, I'll probably just include that free in the curriculum.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We're able to work more nimbly than the reason that places like Full Sail and Berkeley get behind because they're prestigious institutions, but they can't move fast enough. There's too much red tape for them to move fast enough. Devon wanted to go work for Full Sail and disrupt things and get them to be more modern, and they weren't gonna they wouldn't have it.
Their
They're just
curriculum
like,
stays the same.
yeah.
Dude, it just stays
So-
the same year after year after year, and you got to cut through a bunch of red tape in order to get that moving in a more relevant direction. But the reality is here with us, with our team, we're able to just continually go through the curriculum and constantly upgrade it and make it better and better and better as things are changing very, very quickly, right? We can address these things. It's killer. So I know I'm just, it's all shameless, but like tooting our own horns here, but it's only because I believe in it. It's the best way.
All right. Devon,
Toot away, Charles says. Toot away.
Toot away. It's mad funny. Toot away. All right, I'll keep it. All right. So let me move on over to this bass. Moving on over to the bass because I was just taking a listen and stuff like that, and I was like, mess with this bass. Also, taking a break. Too much high end. Took off not a bunch, but took off some of that high end and just mitigated that. And that's the power of breaks. Thank you, Caleb, for stopping me. But that's how important breaks are, where you start to get into a place where you're like, oh, you may be doing too much. And, brightness is the trickiest thing. I think when it comes to just boosting brightness, you should do that with fresh ears because I feel like your brain just perceives brightness as, oh, more of that. It's like the candy, you know what I mean? Like high end is like the candy that you can eat too much of it. So coming back with a fresh ear, just listen, I was like, oh, that's too much. What the heck was I thinking? So I backed off on that a little bit. Of course, it's still not perfect. I would draw it in, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going through it, and I'm just going to continue. So I want to keep in mind, this is me going through it fairly fast. I'm taking my time, but at the same time, I'm going through this fairly fast. So yes, not everything's perfect, and it's not going to be the perfect mix, but I'm just showing you my technique and my process, just to preface it. So let's move on over to this bass, and Caleb, I guess I have to share my screen again, right? All right, cool. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Bet. All right, cool. So I'm going over to this bass. I actually do something very, very similar to Jake. I've seen some of Jake's stuff, of course, and I do something very similar to Jake. I do something called multing the bass, where I split the bass into two different signals. I split the low from the high. So the reason why I split the bass up from the low to the high is because it gives me more control over the bottom end of the spectrum and the top end of the spectrum. The beautiful thing about bass is has a very large frequency spectrum in a sense of, hey, I have a lot of energy down here below, but at the same time, I got some stuff up here that you want to hear and I want to be intelligible on smaller speakers. You know what I mean? So the reason why I split the bass from a low section and a high section is so I can have more control over my bass. This works for 808s. This works for regular bass. I don't care what bass you got. This is a cool technique. You can use it. You don't have to, but I'm just giving you that little, kind of tidbit about it and stuff like that. So I'm going to split this bass into two different signals. One low, one high. Same bass, but just doing a mult, doing a low and a high. So I'm going to hit this. Let's take a listen to our bass.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be hard.
1 second, just trying to collect myself right quick.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be harder than me just being.
1 second.
Can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. No, it's gonna be harder than me just being.
Sorry about that. 1 second. Just make sure I'm good. Putting myself here. Cool. So I'm going to take that bass and I'm going to split it up. So I'm going to split it into two parts. So duplicate. Now I have two of the same bass. Same thing on the left, same thing on the right. I'm going to call this low bass. I'm going to call this high bass. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is, since I sit and create these auxes and things all the time. I do have a chain ready to go. I don't necessarily use all these things in the chain. This is not always and never, remember, always and never, but this is kind of my ballpark plugins that I kind of just go tos and I like to load up on my chain. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to say low bass section. Okay, and these are a bunch of my plugins that I like, that I use from time to time. So I'm going to put this back up to the right volume. I'm going to turn them all off, and we can go through them piece by piece. So right now what I do is I do have a little bit of saturation on this, just kind of giving a little drive. Like I said, I like to do that when it comes to just giving me kind of like a board sound. It's very subtle, nothing to even do there. Here's the big part. What I want to do right now is I'm going to put this on, and we're going to listen to what I isolated. So obviously I use this EQ to isolate the low end. Let's take a listen. Cool, so I've isolated the low end completely. And basically that's all I want to do with that. I just wanted to isolate the low end on this particular bass. Now on the other side, which I'll load up because I do need to show you the contrast between the two. I have my high bass section, loads up my chain, take that off. And basically on the high side, I am isolating the top end of the bass, which sounds like this. Sorry about that, listen again. And both of them combine to make this. So same bass, right? Just separated, where now I can process the low different from the high. So let me show you my process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the low air plugin. Now, I love this plugin so much because this is a subharmonic generator. This is a form of, you can say it's a form of saturation where basically it's going to add some subharmonic frequencies to my bass sound source. I love this one so much. It sounds amazing, and I like what it adds to my sound source. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and usually I just put it right here. So let's take a listen. I'm going to put this in my sound source. I have a sub as well. So right now my sub is super engaged because I'm messing with the bass. So I'm going to listen to this right quick. Do you hear that? I don't know if you guys got a sub or something, but if you can feel that rumble, you can feel that rumble. I'll bypass this thing back and forth. Like the harmonics it adds is nuts. Without it first.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, heavy, 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 heavy. You can hear it when it gets down there on those bass notes where it's really just resonates and rumbles and kind of, I can feel my sub just have so much more energy in that space, and it's a really, really cool subharmonic generator. I love it. I love the harmonics that it adds to my bass. It just makes it feel a lot more full. So that's there on that.
Devon, quick questions in the chat. For the bass sound, was that a live capture? Was it a sample grab? Was it a VST?
That was a DI bass, a crappy little DI bass that literally plugged right into my preamp. I didn't even have a DI box, dude. This was just a DI bass, like just straight up just DI bass, captured with like CLA bass and GTR bass with waves, just running it through a emulation bass amp, and that's it. Nothing special at all. Yeah. Look, I know my bass players are like, yo, it doesn't. I don't know if that to them if they're like, yo, that bass sounds fat or whatever. But yeah, I was wondering. I was like, what they think about that bass. It was captured with DI. It wasn't no mics or anything like that. It was just a really like DI bass, like a broken bass, by the way.
Same for the guitar.
Guitar, that was a sample bass guitar. So that guitar was sampled. Yeah, that was a sample guitar. All right, so let's take a listen. So I got the subharmonic generator on. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a little bit of 100 hertz to this bass, just because the 100 hertz range, as far as bass to me in my ear, it kind of is what is intelligible on those smaller, crappier, I don't want to say crappier, but on smaller style speakers. So I'm basically trying to get a little bit more of the presence of the bass at this 100 hertz range. Mentally, that's kind of a go-to for me. I just have this in my head when it comes to bass. If I'm looking for more presence from a bass sound, I'd like to, always and never, I like to go over the 100 and see if it gives me some more of that sound. I also start the reference, and I haven't been showing you, a reference on my HS5s, which are very, very bright, very mid-rangey, and it lets me know when I have too much. These HS5s, I love them to death because they kind of tell me when I'm doing something too much, harshness, brightness. It kind of is a mental check as opposed to me mixing on them. I really just do them for checking and stuff like that in my monitoring source. I use my JBLs as my main monitoring source for the most part. I mix on those because the air fatigue on these are great. They don't hurt my ears so much when I'm mixing. So let's take a look at this bass and try to add some frequencies to this. So when I listen and I'm monitoring this on my smaller 5-inch cone speaker, and this is why referencing is so important, I'm monitoring it and I'm listening to the bass and I'm seeing if it cuts through more on these smaller speakers. And as soon as I crank that 100 hertz, I noticed that I got more presence out of the bass on these smaller speakers that are not great at reproducing low-end stuff. So now I know, oh, this is probably going to cut through on this little phone right here. I can tell now that this is probably going to help me when it comes to like really, really small speakers and stuff like that, as far as getting some more out of it. So that's
Wayne is gonna give himself a heart attack if you don't tell him what kind of bass was used in this recording.
Oh. If I could tell you, could remember, I would. I said, yo, bass guys are not to play with, dude. I knew it. I was like, somebody's like, we want to know what pickups, like, I don't remember. I don't recall what bass exactly. I'm sorry about that. But I'll find out. DM me in school. I got you. I'll find out for you.
Sorry, Wayne.
Are you serious? This is crazy.
I noticed in the chat. He's asked like 9 times.
What is that bass? What is that bass? Does he like the bass? Does he like?
That's why he's asking, because he likes the sound. Yeah.
Right, and that's a DI bass. We did some processing on that bass. Like, that's another day. We'll do that on a coaching call too. I'll show you how to process like live bass and stuff like that and bring it into my system from DI, like a DI, you know? Okay, so I just added that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of compression to the bass, to this side, because I do want to control all that stuff that we just put into it. So I adore this compressor so much. Me and Caleb and I have...
This is on my list right now. It's on the top of, like, I have a bookmarked list of plugins that I'm gonna grab. This is like right at the top of it.
Dude, when I mean this is, I'm starting to swap out like plugins I used to use for this. Like, this is my new color plugin as far as color and weight, and bro, just watch. Like, as soon as I put it on, and then I'll explain my settings, because this is one of my presets.
Typically a mastering compressor, but I've realized it's two compressor. I mean, it could be used so many different ways for so many different things. I was almost like tempted to like buy only that compressor and just use it on everything, because you could pretty much use it for everything anyway.
It's all encompassing. Like, this compressor is it just adds so much color, and you're gonna see right now with bass. Oh my god, I've just started using it for bass, and I was like, I use it for vocals. Then I went to bass and was like, no way. I use it for master, and I was like, no way. But it just works, bro. It just sounds amazing. So I use it for the bass just to control the bass a little bit. it just helped to make the bass a bit tighter, and that's what I was looking for, just to kind of get it a little bit more
Tighten it
controlled,
up.
and it added, yeah, just kind of like centered it, and it kind of just said, okay, chill out, like hang out a bit and back up. And I'm listening to it on my sub, and it feels a lot tighter and a lot more controlled, and it added some harmonics that I really liked about it too. So now what I'm gonna do is let me just listen to that before and after. So without all my effects first. So without all that stuff I did.
Mhm.
Talk about if you got a sub, dude, that thing is way heavier, and it didn't eat up so much volume and voltage in my meter as well.
I
Very
feel that in
important.
the back of my head, the back of my
Right.
skull.
Right, just rumbling like right there. It's
Yeah.
huge.
A resonance there.
Yeah, yeah.
There's an empty pocket back there, and it just kind of fills for me.
Let's go to this other side. So now we're gonna go to this other side. Let's go to the high side right quick and take a listen. And what I like to do on the high side is I like to add a little bit of distortion to the high side so that it's a little bit more intelligible. So that's the only thing I'm really adding to this. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of compression and stuff like that, but case by case basis as far as to bring out that high side. But let me just play around
I
with this.
haven't
And then
used these, dude. I haven't used these CLA multi
in a long
effects plugins in a long time.
dude, I looked
Taking
at
me back.
it was a few engineers showed me something recently, like maybe like a year ago, and I was like just like you don't have to use it all. It's like just certain modules are still stellar, dude. Like so stellar, like still super good. So let's check out this right quick without it first.
A little bit of wet, like slappiness. Yeah.
Just a little bit. And this setting is called Roar. This basically just gives a little bit of there's 3 different distortion characteristics on here, and I like the Roar one because it's subtle and it's a little weighty. Kind of feels like it gives it a little bit of weight too, which makes that slappiness kind of poke out a little bit. And that's all I did on that high side. So let me listen to them together. Cool, a lot of character. Now the part where I have to do is I have to listen to this in context of the music and kind of find the right spot for it. And this is where I come into that place of doing my bass last, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to be fighting the bass throughout the entire mix. So what I do is I put everything in the house, and then the bass is kind of like the plumbing system. It's like, all right, let's run the water for the first time. But at least I know the foundation of the house where it's like, I know that I can just back off if it's too much water, as opposed to putting too much water at first and then I have to keep dumping the water out of the house. That was a wild analogy. I hope you followed that, but I think you may have got what I was talking about.
Gotcha.
So thank you. So I'm going to bring this down and I'm going to bring this back in my mix. I know that I was around 10 dB, negative 10 dB originally with the bass. So let me just put bass with a bunch of S's, and I'm going to put this down. That's such a lazy way to group things. When I'm trying to group things quick, I'm like, All right, and I'm going to bring this up to my mix and feel it out. I know 10 dB was where I was at, but let me see if it's too much.
I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
So I want to bring some more of the top out a little bit so I can hear some more of the plucky, and then I'm going to bring down. So I'm trying to find the balance of the bass from that low and that high.
Man, you top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me?
So I ain't in a hurry, cause I already know what you're worth. We be back and forth every other day while you act up. You get in your bag, girl, you be going black.
Man, you top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too
And when I listen to my reference track, it kind of feels like his bass doesn't even exist in the track. It kind of feels like it's just like, isn't that wild? Like, you're like, where is his bass in comparison to ours? So now in my head, when it comes to a competition standpoint, I say, when this song comes up in a playlist after his, it's like gonna be a warm sensation that everybody's just gonna feel like, yo, like that bass is fat, it's heavy, it's massive in the song now. So that's why reference wise, now I'll be honest with you, I probably won't even go back to my reference because I'm like, oh, I'm good. Because I know from a sonic standpoint where I've landed, and now I'm just gonna make this song its own thing and where it's at. The bass, listen to the bass sound between his and ours now, if that makes any sense. Check this out. His first.
So I ain't in a hurry, cause I already know what you're worth. We be back and forth every other day while you act up. You get in your bag, girl, you be going platinum. Got a lot of nerve, but I'll give you my last one, cause that ain't a
man. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me.
Just a fat sound. Granted, I probably can get some more control and stuff like that, but for now, I
Yeah,
just
way
wanna-
warmer.
Yeah, way warmer. Yeah, and it's sitting in my sub. I can tell my sub is actually really getting engaged into the music, and I can feel it. So, just a quick tip: separating the low from the high, processing them different, and then basically finding a balance with them and feeling where you want it to be within your mix and stuff like that. Super powerful trick. I can hear already that I can get some more control in that bass, but nonetheless, just showing you off rip what it does and stuff like that. We're almost done as far as what I want to show you. And then we'll just kind of tie a bow on this right quick, and that's it. So you don't want to miss this next part. This is the scary part, to be honest with you. I've been avoiding not doing this part until now. So my drums. I haven't touched my drums in a while. Reason being is because I really enjoy putting and saturating the crap out of my drums. Why do I like saturating my drums? Because I know that my drums take up a lot of energy, right? And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to increase the perceived volume of the drums and try to get some headroom back from the drums as well. So I want to make it feel like it's louder, but not eat up so much headroom in the actual mix. I'm going to show you a trick. We're driving off the road again. This is probably the wildest drive off the road. This is the wildest one, and this is probably also not going to make sense. And I'll explain why it doesn't make sense and why sometimes mistakes can be the greatest things that happen in the studio. All right, I gave my little tidbit before I started doing that. All right, so let's look at this drum bus. This is a wild thing. He's like, uh-oh. So let's just say drums with Matt.
Put on your seatbelts.
Put on your seatbelts for this one, because this one is kind of wild. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, cool. So let me listen to this. Okay. So we're just listening to our drums right now. Right now, where you're seeing me at is the drum bus. This is the drum bus. I'm going to do 2 moves. One, with these 2 moves, I'm adding saturation. I'm going to throw on an NLS bus for saturation, just to saturate the drums just a little bit, add some saturation, and then I'm going to use this. I'm going to put this Puicha on. I'm literally not going to compress it at all. I just like the sound of my drums going through this Puicha. It is insane. I'll play it for you right quick. Without first, and then I'll pop both of them on. It is sick. I don't know what Waves did with this.
Up. bro. Like it opens up, and I think it focuses the low end a little bit more too. It even tightens that up a little bit more.
Right.
Oh.
It's just magical. Like what it does is just magical. I love it so much. So yes, so keep that in mind. I just added those two plugins just to give me a little bit of saturation, and it just saturated my drums just a little bit. I didn't lose any volume. I didn't lose any headroom or anything like that. It just added some overtones that made it feel and gave me that perception of that loudness and stuff like that. So let's keep this going. I'm gonna play it with some music as well, so we have it in context with music. So I just added those two plugins. Next plugin I'm gonna use on my drum bus, and remember, I'm using this drum bus to really glue these drums together now. Right now, we're going to use this plugin called Knock from a good friend of mine by the name of Decap. This thing is for your drum bus. It is insane. It has a soft clipper. It has harmonic saturation. It has a subharmonic generator. It has a transient feature. This is my favorite drum bus plugin, and he really outdid himself. So I just do want to give him a shout out for this because this plugin is insane. It's called Knock. What
I
I'm
like the
gonna
way
do is
that
I'm gonna add-
looks. Nice and simple.
Simple, dude. Simple. Anyone can pick this up. Like, long story short, what I like to use is I like to use the soft clipper function in here, and I'm gonna soft clip my drums. But I'm also gonna do this beautiful thing called gain match, where when I'm soft clipping it, it's gonna compensate for all that level that we kind of are eating up with headroom. So as it's feeling like it's getting louder, remember it's pulling it down and matching the level of the original volume and intensity that was there before. So I'm going to soft clip these drums right quick.
Wow.
1 second, just trying to find something now. Super subtle. It was super subtle, and it's the gain matching that's basically helping me to kind of, you're like, yeah, I'm saturating, but it's like, yeah, we're saturating, but we're also making sure we're maintaining and keeping that level of what was there before. So let's listen to our drums now, before and after. All I did was add a little bit of soft clipping and a tad bit of punch, aka this is kind of like a transient kind of shaper, just to kind of make up for a little bit that we kind of may have lost in the soft clipping phase, just to give a little bit more back to that transient so it still snaps and cracks. Before and after. Without first.
Look at the post fader meter.
Oh, sorry. Yep, got you. Say last 1 sec. So let's take a look at the difference
What's that,
between
like
those from
five decibels of headroom or something
Bro,
like that. Yeah.
nuts. So without first, let me take a look so I just know myself. So without it is I got negative 7.8 without it. With it on,
4. So 4 about. Yeah.
and it sounds louder. This is freaking just insane. I hope that had to make somebody head spin right now. It's negative 11 dB with it on, with it sounding bigger, and negative 7 without it.
It all
Like-
adds up to so much though. That EQ move he did, cleaning up sub energy earlier. This move here where you're saving a few dB of headroom on the kick. All of this is going to add up to getting that song sounding so loud, even at being industry standard levels and not over limited and compressed at the end. That's how you get that sound. It's all these
Yes.
little moves along the way. It's nothing you could do in the master.
Right. Not a thing. Saturation is your best friend. Soft clipping is another cousin of yours. Like these little things, these little techniques is what's going to help you get to this kind of standpoint. I'm going to do 2 more moves and then I'm going to stay right there and then we can put a bow on this thing right here. So right now what I'm going to show you is something that is a very wild trick. This is the trick I was really referring to with the drums. What I'm going to show you is a trick that I did learn from this from Jason Joshua. And when I first seen the trick, I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it until I tried it for myself. And even him, or to, what he explained it, he doesn't understand it himself. But here's the trick. This is so off the road. I just want to let you know this is so off the road. Long story short, the plugin NLS Bus, as you've heard of, right? It's an analog emulation saturation plugin, right? It's modeling the sound of analog boards. You can turn up the drive and it'll give you more of that board sound. What he found, or somebody he got it from found, is that if you take 8 of these NLS buses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and combine them in serial together, what you send through them has this heavy sound that I can't find in an EQ. I can't find in any of my other processes how to recreate and do something within this algorithm of this plugin has created and gives this weight that is insane to me. And it doesn't eat up headroom. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to bypass it back and forth. It's called my drum. This is on my drum power bus. This is where I get the power and the weight of my drums from right here. Mind you, we already just added more weight, right? How can we get more without eating up headroom? I'm going to show you right now. And remember, we can just turn these drums down because I got the safety net with the subgroup. So at the end, we'll do our balance. We'll check our balance and make sure we're good. Watch this saturation that's about to happen to these drums. And remember, this thing is not eating up any headroom. Okay, without first. I really want you to hear, I'm going to mute the guitar just because I want you to hear this thing. I just want you to hear this feeling. It's subtle, it's a feeling, it's a weight. It kind of feels like when it's not there, a bottom kind of falls out. Granted, you say to yourself, well, it felt like it was already so heavy. And then we managed to add some more color to it that made it feel even bigger. And guess what? dB wise, from a headroom standpoint, same, it's at the same level. We have not increased the volume at all. So when I send this to mastering, the mastering guy's gonna look and be like, how the hell did this happen? How? Saturation. And this is why Caleb at the very start was telling me about a saturation masterclass. Saturation, if you take the time to understand the fundamentals of how to clean things and do things, when you get to the saturation part, it can really take you to the moon. If you just understand the fundamentals, and that's why it's so important to understand the fundamentals. I would never understand or be able to do this if I didn't understand the fundamentals that these guys are teaching you and stuff like that. So harmonic saturation, a very dangerous game, but it takes practice, it takes time, and eventually you'll get to that place where you can get it to sound kind of like that.
Dude, we say this all the time too, guys. Loudness potential starts in the mix.
In the
It doesn't
mix.
come from mastering. It
Nope.
comes from the mix.
That's right.
Proper use of dynamic control, clipping, saturation, all of these things, layers and layers and layers of these things add up, right?
Yep. And it's in the mix, man.
You guys following? Are you guys following? One in the chat if you're following. If this is making sense, if you're absorbing this, if you're starting to make some mindset shifts here.
Right.
I know
Yeah,
that trick is nuts. It The closest thing I've heard is like a really good tape, running through some really good tape with
Yeah.
has really good transistors and stuff on it that just
Right.
does
That
something.
just add
Maybe like the
something.
ATR 102 or something would get close to that. But that's really cool.
It's like an
Gotcha.
openness in the top end and almost like a width that happens too. It's weird.
Yeah.
I
And
thought
a
it was
focus and
significant.
it's
It wasn't subtle. I was like, oh, okay.
oh yeah, like it kind of wakes you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool, and I played with the order of it because you have to go like Mike, then Spike, then Mike, then Mike again. Like there's a little bit of a trick to it, which I've learned from him. So you could play with it and you get different algorithms, like saturation algorithms from it. This is a
Yeah.
wild trick. Yeah. Yeah, this is
Because
a
you're
wild
feeding,
trick.
like the way that you're feeding, you're creating a very certain type of imperfection and then feeding that
Right.
imperfection into another layer of imperfection and so on and so forth. And if you change
Right.
any of them in the chain, it's going to affect the next one, right? It's a chain
Exactly.
reaction.
Yep. It's wild, dude. Like that's why like I said, some days I'll sit and just make saturation chains, auxes. I'll make new ones. I'll make a transformer 4.
You're such a
Transformer 5.
nerd.
I'm a nerd, dude. Like I'll sit and just be like, I'm gonna make some more transformers today. I'm creating transformers in the digital world. Isn't that crazy? Like it's
Yeah,
wild
that's
that we could do that. Like, and we'll do that. I'll show people how to do that on calls. Like, as far as how to make things like this. So I'm gonna tie this up. I'm gonna show you. Let me just do a little bit of a balance on my subgroups just to show you how powerful that is, and then we can tie this up for now. Of course, there's so many more things I would do to kind of finalize the mix, but for the most part, think you guys get the point of the process. Right now is what I would do in my mix is tweak, 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 tweak. So I'd be listening, carving out space, moving things around, kind of trying to get more and more out of it. But for the most part, I'm in a space that I like. I feel like I might have to turn my drums down a bit. I know you guys hear that. Of course I would. I haven't checked it in my car. I haven't called the client, like, so I'm aware of all these things, and just know that I'm just showing you the process. This is not a finished product. I'm just showing you the process of how I got from A to B. Now, let me just play this. Let me get a little balance, and then let's listen to our reference of where we were and where we've landed so far.
Man, top 5 dead alive. I'm talking. I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl. I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I wanna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
One more time, still checking my balance. And as you can see, I'm using my subgroups to find the balance with the bass, the music, and the vocal. I turned up the vocal a little. I moved the drums down a bit, lowered the bass. Like I'm finding a balance that I'm like, oh, I like this balance of the stuff. And see, this is the safety nets and how powerful this is.
I can tell the way that you walk and you mean business. Know it's gonna be harder than me just being consistent. Say this with respect, girl. I got you on my hit list. You're not the type of girl that's worried about these other women. You top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But
One thing I want to do before I say I'm tying it up is I do want to fix that relationship between the kick and the bass. I think it'll be very valuable to show you how to fix that relationship right quick. Just a quick one. Usually I would draw the bass initial hits down. So I would take the volume of the initial hit of the bass and I draw it down where the kick hits so that the kick has plenty of room to kind of cut through. But what I'm going to do on the other side is to make it faster for you is I'm going to show you another technique, which I like to do, is I like to side chain the kick, which I think Jake and them do this too. Side chain the kick to the bass so that when the kick hits, the bass ducks, but not the whole bass, just the frequency range that the kick is in. Okay, that may be a little, advance of a trick, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when I show you this. So give me a second. Let me just set it up. So I'm going to make a send. I'm going to send this out to bus 13. Nothing special about that. And now this kick is feeding this particular multi-band compressor. And I already have a, what you call it? Let me say this. Cool. So now the kick is side chaining, or I never know how to say it. The bass is the bass is side chaining to the kick. Am I saying that right? I never say this right.
Nah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds right. You know what I'm talking about. The kick is triggering the bass. Yeah, there we go. So now let me just solo those two particular instances, which would be bass. So let's mute the music and the vocal.
So you ever use Track Spacer?
Yes, I have used Track Spacer.
Yeah.
I've used it. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm about to start using for this technique? I'm about to start using Soothe, because Soothe is faster.
Yeah.
It's the fastest
It really
guns in the
is.
West. So
Mhm.
it's so, but I haven't made the transition yet. But I'm about to switch over for side chaining. I'm about to switch over to Soothe, because Soothe is extremely fast, and I would like something that's extremely fast.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. All right. So let's chain this right quick to see if we can get this kick and bass relationship to be better. What a huge difference. So now what I want you to do is listen to the difference between when we have the kick and side chain in, meaning every time the kick hits, the bass at 60 hertz range dips. Listen to the relationship that it has now, and you'll notice that the kick feels like it has more punch now, and it has more room to breathe and live, and it doesn't feel so mush and smeared in that frequency range. Listen close, without first. I'm gonna bypass it back and forth. So I'm getting a little bit more clarity out of my kick, and it's also making room for that bass to say, hey, when I'm here, I need you to move away. I need you to get away from me. Now, I could probably back it up just a little bit more in that range just to make even more room for it, which I feel like maybe around that 70 hertz range. Let me do it one more time, bypassing it back and forth. Take a listen. A little bit better of a relationship, and then I can now play it back with everything in.
The women, you top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag.
One last thing I just got to do, I just got to put a throw on that chorus, because I know a throw would sound so amazing. And a throw, I mean as in a delay to really make it go on those big belty parts. Let me find my spots.
The women, you top 5 dead alive. I say you might be bad for me. So tell me, I say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
And that's what I'm talking about right there. So I like that move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some automation. I'm going to put this in touch mode. And basically every time I unmute this or touch anything, it's going to print that automation for me. So I'm just going to print this throw right quick.
I say you might be bad for me. So tell me if I'm
obviously that wasn't perfect, but the beautiful thing that I'm allowed to do is I'm allowed to go to that particular spot, and what I could do is I could just clean up my automation moves that I did on my mutes. So I'm just gonna clean up that automation right quick, and then I will show you this last thing, and that's it.
I say you might be bad for me, so tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if. Don't drag me along.
Fix this one part. Don't want it on that part.
I say you might be bad. Are you bad for me?
Now I want this to feel a little bit more back and reserved. I'm going to show you this other trick. I'm going to roll off some of the high end. That's what you see me doing. I'm EQing the delay. I just want to roll off some of the high end so it feels a little more lo-fi and in the back.
Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
I'm going to increase the feedback just a tad bit just to get to the next line because it's that space. So I want to fill up that space a little.
Are you bad for me? Don't drag me.
A little less.
Are you bad for me? Don't drag me.
Beautiful. And the last thing I'll do to that reverb or that delay is I'm going to add a reverb to the delay. Yes, I'm going to send out a copy of this delay that's here. As you can see, this Echo Boy, I'm going to send it out to a big reverb just to make it sound even further back, just to throw it. So wait for this.
Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
So watch this. Listen to the delay now.
Bad for me. So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad
Yep, listen.
for me? So tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along. Are you bad for me? Tell me if I'm wrong. Are you bad for me? Don't drag me along.
And I can sit and tweak with that all day. For the most part, y'all, we're in a cool spot. It's not a perfect mix by far, but time-wise, there you go. I hope that you've learned so many different things. The one thing I will say is the last thing I probably do is I'd add a black box saturation to my master bus and a Magma BB2 to the master bus. It's such a subtle thing. It just adds a little bit more overtones and harmonics to the signal. Nothing crazy, no EQ, no compression or anything like that. I take off the limiter that's here, and basically all I do is turn on an NLS bus, a black box design saturation plugin, and a Magma BB2 saturation as well. And it just adds a little bit more saturation, more volume, without any destructive dynamic stuff. So when I send to the mastering engineer, he's going to have all these dynamics, but this mix is going to be loud, and he or she can do whatever they want with the thing. And that is how I go about, and that is my process in a nutshell.
Fire emojis. Clap emojis. Let them rain.
Did you guys pick up some of Devon's golden nuggets?
Wild stuff I showed y'all just now.
Nuggies
Wild.
everywhere today. You keep trying that one. Man.
Nuggies.
Nuggets.
sounds
Keep
word.
trying that one. Nuggets.
We love you.
I think there's a golden egg emoji. Hold on, I'm gonna find it.
Oh, that's kind of fire. I hope you guys really, really took from this what you could or anything. It's not perfect. This takes time. I would have to take my time, listen to things, play them on different speakers. Like, oh, I got too much bass. My first mix is never the one, once in a blue maybe, but it takes time, and you got to keep carving out, keep driving it down, listen in the car. I'm going to listen on my AirPods. It's a process. You know what I mean? Like, it took us a long time to get here, but through all of that stuff, I have safety nets. I have tricks and tools that I've learned. And man, I really showed y'all my entire process. Like, I really showed y'all my mindset, as well as my process. And I really, really hope that you saw this as invaluable. Like this, I really gave y'all a lot on that. If I played y'all the original, it would shake you. to your core. Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Really well done, dude. I learned a lot.
That means a lot. Thank you. I'm glad. That's great. I learned, when I watch y'all, like I pick up stuff from y'all. Like, oh, I'm gonna try that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like that's why I like watching other people, because I'm like, oh, I'll bring that into my process.
So you're gonna send me some of your tracks for tomorrow's VIP session. I'm gonna
Yes.
try some of the things I learned from you today.
Oh, bet. Cool. All right, let's do it.
In tomorrow's session.
Do you
Yeah.
want to?
I'll probably pull up.
We don't have to, but there may be a chance we could allow these to be downloadable for people to practice mixing on, Devon. It's totally up to you.
Sure, man. Heck yeah. Because what I always say to mix engineers and stuff like that, as far as like, oh, my secrets. You still got to know how to do this, man. You still got to have the ear for it and stuff. And if someone gets this information from me, and I meet people in the street all the time that get the information from me and they're incredible and they're like, bro, thank you. Like, I know it's gonna come back. You know what I mean? I know that comes back to me. That feels good to me. Like, just to kind of do this. Like, it really feels good to know I helped someone, and then one day someone's like, yo, that top 40 record, dude, I use your blah 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 technique. What? It's just, I'm giving back some way. It feels really good in what I love. So, bro, it's all good. Download it. I don't care. It's all good. They can do that.
Well, I know our students are really excited. The ones coming on right now, really excited to get to work with you weekly for the next year, as well as with Jake and me and Dane. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully we could do some more Fix the Mix with you down the road. It's been a really good one. Really cool to get a different perspective. We love Jake's perspective too. They're all valuable.
For sure.
But it's
Yeah,
great.
a lot of the stuff I got from a lot of the stuff I saw, I saw Jake do a lot of the same exact things, for sure.
It's all valuable. Whatever works for you, whatever speeds up your process, whatever helps you make the best stuff you can make, that's what matters. So,
oh, dude, we should do just like quick A/B between the sad mix and what we got now.
You want to hear it?
Can you bring it back up just real quick?
I have it right here. Here comes the sadness.
Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. Either way, I'm gonna see.
Now, the new mix.
Women. Top 5 dead alive. I'm talking pull up, baby, stay a while. But deep down, I just got a feeling that you might be too much for me. But either way, I'm gonna see. You might be bad.
Nuts. That's nuts. That's a wild watch quote. Wild.
Did he fix the mix? Did he fix it?
Did I fix it? That's funny.
Yeah, it's not even fully done, and it's just so much better. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yep, Nick's dropping the booking link. If there's any last couple people that wanted to sign up for a call, now you could do so before I close this down. But thank y'all for coming here. Either way, we love to have these. We're going to continue to have these be free for y'all. It's going to be free for you to be in the school community, interact with each other, ask questions. Hopefully you picked up some wonderful stuff in the last 3 days that you can use and take with you. Thanks for your great questions in the chat, for being cool to each other, for helping each other in the school group. Devon, once again, thank you. Thank you for being here, Jake. We'll see you all very soon, a couple weeks, next month. We have some big ones coming up with some really cool people, so stay tuned.
See you guys next week on these weekly calls. If you're a part of the program, I'll see you guys soon. You can DM me on school too if you're a part of the program in the whole nine. And yeah, I'll be there. You can ask me any questions and just hit me there. I'll be in the DMs of the school all the time.
Right on. And VIPs, I will see you tomorrow for a marathon session. We're going to do a full mix all the way through of one of Devon's tracks.
There's a way to sign up for VIP, I believe, in the school group. And I think Michael will also announce the winners in the school group. I don't know where he's at right now. But yeah, just get on there to see who won. And then the free plugin will go out to y'all. Check, watch your email. If you don't see that, let us know, but you should get it in your email. All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a great Thursday.